Chapter 635. Beautiful lady, please allow me to dance with you, Dorsk said to Shuya in what he thought was the most elegant posture. Shuya accompanied her father to attend the party on the Alice. In other words, her father used Shuya's fame to attend this party. Although Shuya's father, Shu Haikwa, was also a very powerful boss in Hong Kong with a lot of money. But there were more than one or two rich people in the world. In a small place like Hong Kong, Shu Haikwa was a very important figure. But looking at the world, it was really nothing. Most of the rich people were concentrated in economically developed places like Europe and the United States. Therefore, it could be said that Shu Haikwa was barely qualified to attend this party. But his daughter Shuya could. Shuya was a popular little queen in Hong Kong, Taiwan, mainland, Singapore and Malaysia. Of course, she was qualified to attend this party. Originally, Shuya didn't like to attend this kind of party, but she couldn't stand her father's coaxing and pestering. She reluctantly attended this party. At this kind of party, those other stars were looking for relationships and money, but Shuya didn't need these. She was already popular enough and she wasn't short of money. Her own income was already a lot and the money at home was more than enough to spend. Shuya wasn't greedy. As long as she had enough to spend, it was fine. Moreover, Shuya had a concert tour after the New Year, so she couldn't stay on the Alice for long before she had to fly back to Hong Kong. Today she was just accompanying her father to meet a few old friends. Shuya, who was standing next to her father, suddenly saw a Caucasian man coming to this side. Although Shuya didn't know what he was going to do, she still nodded to him politely. When Dorsk reached out and invited Shuya to dance, Shuya politely refused. Shuya wasn't used to this occasion and she wasn't an escort. However, Shuya's refusal made Dorsk feel very proud. His face immediately changed. He said a few words to the Japanese team leader next to him, and then the Japanese team leader immediately said to Shuya, "This is Mr. Dorsk. He asked you to dance. It is your honor." "I'm sorry. I don't know him and I can't dance." Shuya frowned and said faintly. She had tried her best to be polite. If it was Hong Kong, Shuya would turn around and leave. Shuya had never heard of Dorsk, but Shu Haikwa had heard of it. When he heard the Japanese team leader say the name of Dorsk, his expression was obviously stagnant. He immediately said, "Hello, Mr. Dorsk. This is my daughter. She came out with me to attend the party. She is not very used to this kind of occasion. Please forgive her." English was the official language of Hong Kong. Shu Haikwa and the Japanese team leader both used English. Dorsk should be able to understand. "Shu Haikwa, I know you." The Japanese team leader sneered after listening. "I know your daughter." As for Shuya, who doesn't know her? Not used to this kind of situation? Who are you trying to fool? You want to pretend to be pure when you're a celebrity? Let me tell you how many female stars want to spend a night with Mr. Dorsk, but they don't even have a chance. Don't be so shameless. If you know what's good for you, then cooperate obediently. This guy was now trying to please Dorsk. His organization was only a small organization called the Tomorrow Group. It couldn't be compared with those large organizations. The supply of white powder was naturally very small. In order to open up a new supply, he worked very hard to find a relationship with Dorsk. As for Dorsk's request, he naturally tried to satisfy it. In his eyes, Shuya was just a relatively popular celebrity. In their country, no matter how pure the female star was outside, she was just a tool to accompany the guests here. So he didn't put Shuya in his eyes at all. "Eagle Temple team leader, please respect yourself." Shu Haikwa frowned and said, "If you don't leave, I will call security." Before the Eagle Temple team leader spoke, Dorsk snorted coldly. Then he glared at Shu Haikwa fiercely and looked at Shuya lecherously. He said, "Let's wait and see." Although Dorsk thought that he was very badass, he didn't need to look at anyone's face when doing things. But this was the Alice after all. In other people's territory, he couldn't not give face to the owner. He wasn't so badass that he couldn't put the owner of the Alice in his eyes. Although the owner of the Alice, was just a woman, no one dared to underestimate the strength behind her. No one knew who was standing behind Alice and no one knew what would happen if they provoked Alice. Because she was a terrifying existence. As for how terrifying, no one knew, but there was a rumor in the upper class. It was said that behind Alice there might be the power of a country. Therefore, Dorsk chose to temporarily swallow his anger. Once the security came, he would lose even more face. It was better to leave first and make plans later. However, Dorsk also thought that although he didn't want to have any conflict with Alice, he felt that Alice wouldn't take the initiative to embarrass him. As long as he didn't embarrass her in front of the public, then she would mind her own business and mind her own business. Dorsk, who returned to the room, was very angry. He smashed several teacups in a row, and the Eagle Temple team leader said some very disgusting flattering words. That chick doesn't know how to appreciate favors. She actually didn't give you face. The Eagle Temple team leader said, she is simply tired of living. Damn, no matter what method I use, I must get her. Eagle Temple, do you have a good idea? Dorsk looked up at the Eagle Temple team leader. This is simple. Just catch her. If she doesn't obey, then just force it on her. Are you still afraid of her? The Eagle Temple team leader said disdainfully. Is it okay? Dorsk thought so in his heart, but he felt that it was necessary for him to pretend to be a gentleman. After all, he had never treated a woman like this before. He's just a celebrity. Her father is just a businessman in Hong Kong. On this, Alice, is there anyone who can do anything to you, the great Mr. Dorsk? The Eagle Temple team leader said, I think even if you kill someone, no one dares to do anything to you, right? Dorsk laughed arrogantly. That's right. Have I, Dorsk, been afraid of anyone? That's fine. I will leave this matter to you. Damn, she actually dared to refute my face. I will teach her a lesson. Tonight, I will make her unable to get out of bed. Don't worry. Mr. Dorsk, leave this matter to me. The Eagle Temple team leader smiled slyly. He patted his chest and promised, I'm the best at doing this kind of thing. And if you do this well, then I can consider giving you a part of the European and American quotas. Dorsk was in a good mood and made a promise. No problem. The Eagle Temple team leader said excitedly, Thank you, Mr. Dorsk. I will do this well. Then you go quickly. I can't wait for a moment. I can't wait to push her down on the bed and fuck her fiercely. Dorsk said lasciviously. Right, Mr. Dorsk, this is the best aphrodisiac in our country. The Eagle Temple team leader suddenly thought of something. Then he took out a small bottle from his pocket and handed it to Dorsk. This medicine can greatly improve endurance. Although Mr. Dorsk is born with great strength and it's not a problem for you to fuck her all night, if you take this medicine your endurance can double. So you can teach that chick a lesson. The Eagle Temple team leader carried this kind of medicine with him. Obviously he wasn't a good person. He was basically the same kind of person as Dorsk. Dorsk was very comfortable with the flattery of the Eagle Temple team leader. He gladly accepted the bottle of medicine and said, And not bad. You're very clever. I like it very much. Don't worry. In your words, as long as you do it well, there will be great benefits. Hi. Thank you, Mr. Dorsk. The Eagle Temple team leader went out to do the job. Although Shu Haikwa knew that Dorsk and the Eagle Temple team leader weren't good people, they wouldn't cause any trouble on the Alice. When they returned to Hong Kong, it would be his territory. He wasn't afraid of them. Therefore, Shu Haikwa really didn't take this matter to heart. He didn't remind his daughter to guard against anything. It was also because of Shu Haikwa's carelessness that the Eagle Temple team leader took advantage of it. After Shuya accompanied her father to deal with his friends for a while, she planned to go back to her room to rest. She had to fly back to Hong Kong tomorrow, so she had to have a good sleep tonight. After Shuya said goodbye to her father, she went out of the banquet hall and walked to her room. Just as she was about to reach the room, two black-shirt macho men suddenly rushed out from the corner and walked quickly to Shuya. Chapter 636. You guys. Shuya just wanted to ask, but her mouth was blocked by a black-shirt macho man. Then another black-shirt macho man quickly took out a tape and directly sealed her mouth. Shuya looked at the two people in front of her in horror. She wanted to call for help, but she couldn't make any sound. In this way, she was carried by the two black-shirt macho men and walked in another direction. On this ship, which was known for its safety, she could still be hijacked. This made Shuya very puzzled. Every passenger on the ship, including the entourage they brought, had to undergo a detailed identity check and registration. Therefore, on this ship, there shouldn't be such a situation because everyone's identity was registered with the owner. However, such a thing still happened on this ship. It was hard for people to not think deeply about it. Shuya immediately thought about the purpose of these people. Seeking money? Seeking revenge? It seems that the possibility of seeking money is not high. The people who can board this ship are either rich or noble. If it is seeking revenge, who have I offended recently? Wait, could it be the guy named Dorsk? As she was thinking about it, the answer to this question was revealed. What are you doing? A tourist on the ship passed by and saw the two black-shirt macho men holding Shuya. He quickly asked. We are working for Mr. Dorsk. If you don't want to die, shut up. The black-shirt macho man said to the tourist fiercely. When the tourist heard Dorsk's name, he immediately lowered his head and didn't dare to say anything. He walked away dejectedly. And Shuya, at this moment, also understood that the people who were sent to catch her were indeed Dorsk's people. Shuya was taken to a luxury private room. The Eagle Temple team leader was sitting in a chair. When he saw Shuya come in, he said with a sinister smile, Shuya, big star, aren't you awesome? You don't even give face to Mr. Dorsk? As he said this, the Eagle Temple team leader stood up and tore the tape on Shuya's mouth. Let me tell you, Mr. Dorsk will be here in a while. He will punish you well. He will make you scream in bed. What you are doing is illegal. Shuya didn't know what to say. She also knew that this wasn't Hong Kong. No matter how tough she was, it was useless. Legal? The Eagle Temple team leader seemed to have heard a big joke. He looked at Shuya mockingly. This is the Alice. I can tell you that Mr. Dorsk is the law. No one can go against his words. Aren't you afraid that the owner of the Alice will know about this? Shuya knew that today's matter might not end well, but she wouldn't give in so easily. The owner of the Alice, hee. The Eagle Temple team leader shook his head. Miss Alice and our Mr. Dorsk don't interfere with each other's business. She won't fall out with him because of a little star like you. Moreover, you have nothing to lose. I just want you to scream in bed for a night. Don't worry. Mr. Dorsk's ability is very strong. He will make you very happy, hee. You're shameless. Shuya was so angry at the Eagle Temple that her face turned red. You can say whatever you want. The Eagle Temple team leader looked at Shuya lecherously. You're really beautiful. If Mr. Dorsk didn't like you, I might be tempted. But it's okay. Don't worry. When Mr. Dorsk is tired of playing, brother will continue to serve you. Go to hell. Shuya glared at the Eagle Temple team leader and said fiercely. I won't die. Don't worry. But you have to be careful. Mr. Dorsk is very brave. Don't be killed by him. The Eagle Temple team leader turned and said to one of his men, You guys guard her. Don't let her run away. I will inform Mr. Dorsk that he can come and enjoy the feast. Yes, team leader. The black-shirt macho man said quickly. Dorsk didn't expect the Eagle Temple team leader to do things so quickly. It was only 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Good, efficient. However, although it wasn't time to sleep at night, he couldn't wait. The Eagle Temple team leader came to the suite with Dorsk. When Dorsk saw Shuya, his eyes suddenly lit up. You wait for me in the room outside the suite. Stay there for me. Dorsk hurriedly ordered. Hey, Mr. Dorsk. The Eagle Temple team leader nodded. Right, have you taken the medicine? After that, he looked at Shuya with a deep meaning. Oh yes, take the medicine. Dorsk nodded and said, If you didn't remind me, I would have forgotten. Go and get some water for Mr. Dorsk. Forget it, there is no need. I will get it myself. As the Eagle Temple team leader said, he picked up the teacup and poured a cup of hot water for Dorsk. He handed it to Dorsk and said, Mr. Dorsk, please enjoy. Oh, okay. Dorsk took the teacup. After taking a piece of medicine, he returned the cup to the Eagle Temple team leader. Is this medicine really effective? Of course, this was invented by a scientist called 7 times a night. It is the latest aphrodisiac. It is very effective. But for a strong person like Mr. Dorsk, it can only be the icing on the cake, said the Eagle Temple team leader. Not bad, then you can go out. Dorsk nodded casually and accepted the flattery gladly. The Eagle Temple team leader took his men out of the room. Shuya had been tied to the bed with her hands tied behind her back. He wasn't afraid that she would run away. After the Eagle Temple team leader closed the door, Dorsk couldn't wait to take off his clothes. The effect of this medicine was really strong. Dorsk found that he had already begun to have a reaction. Haha, beauty, you're going to be mine soon. Dorsk said as he took off his clothes. You're really shameless. You disgusting white-skinned pig. Shuya looked at Dorsk, who was already naked. She was simply angry and ashamed. At this moment, she really regretted coming to this party held by the Alice. In Hong Kong, who dared to treat me like this? Although my father wasn't the richest person in Hong Kong, He was also a man of his word. Even those who mingled in the underworld didn't dare to mess with me. The boss of the entertainment company had to look at my face. Who dared to humiliate me like this? However, at this moment the Dorsk in front of her didn't put her in his eyes at all. He didn't even put her father in his eyes. Shuya knew that any threat was useless to the person in front of her. It couldn't change the facts in front of her. Shuya really had an urge to cry. My chastity was actually destroyed in this situation. After mingling in the entertainment circle for so long, Shuya had always been clean. She didn't even have a boyfriend. Because, in the depths of her heart, there was another existence, the person she loved the most in this life. Shuya had always been looking forward to the day when she would see him again. Her first time must be his. However, this vision was going to be shattered today. My body was actually going to be ruined by such a disgusting white-skinned pig in front of me. Shuya really wanted to cry but had no tears. Shuya sighed faintly. I could have insisted on not coming to Hong Kong. I wouldn't have embarked on the path of the entertainment circle, right? There wouldn't be such a thing today, right? In that case, I should be very happy with that person going to school and leaving school every day. At this age, I should be in college with him. I heard that college is a paradise for lovers. However, all of this was very far away from me. Shuya was desperate. She slowly closed her eyes, waiting for the upcoming humiliation. What would I do after that? He didn't know. Maybe I would try my best to retaliate against the man in front of me. He destroyed my vision with his own hands. In the entertainment circle, although Shuya was clean, it was inevitable that her friends would talk about that aspect when they usually talked. Shuya was also a mature woman. Of course, she could understand what they were talking about. However, Shuya was luckier. With Shu Haikwa as her father, she didn't need to give up her body to get what she wanted. However, Shuya wasn't the only celebrity in this situation. One of Shuya's close friends was also the daughter of a consortium's boss. She was also a small celebrity, but she wasn't as famous as Shuya. However, her private life was chaotic enough. She had changed boyfriends for 20 to 30 times. She often told Shuya how comfortable and wonderful the thing between men and women was. She always encouraged Shuya to find a boyfriend to try. However, Shuya shook her head every time and said with a smile, "This kind of thing naturally has to be done with the person I love most." "The person you love might be hugging another woman right now," this close friend of hers said. Chapter 637. However, Shuya smiled and didn't say anything. But in her heart she had been longing for the sweetness with that person many times. The hazy and immature feelings in her childhood had been upgraded to love as Shuya grew older, true love. Although this situation was rare, Shuya was such a stubborn girl. She would never turn back once she set her mind on something. However, this beautiful memory was interrupted by Dorsk's obscene laughter. Dorsk had taken off all his clothes, leaving only a pair of shorts. Why didn't he take off his shorts? Because this involved a personal reason. Although Dorsk had sex every night, he felt very inferior. This was because his lower body was very short and not vigorous. It was like a little caterpillar. He couldn't be compared to those fierce men. Although the woman who had sex with him didn't dare to have any dissatisfaction, she had to pretend to be very satisfied. But the more it was like this, the more inferior Dorsk felt. This was a physical defect that couldn't be made up for. Therefore Dorsk developed a habit. He wouldn't take off his shorts until the moment before he officially did something. "If you dare to come over again, I will bite my tongue and commit suicide." Shuya had no choice but to threaten him in the end. "If I die, I think Miss Alice can't just ignore it, right?" "Yes, but even if you die, what can you do? Where is this place?" "This is Henry Island. There is no law that can do anything to me. Old Henry and I are old acquaintances. What do you think he can do to me?" Dorsk sneered. "There is also Miss Alice. Do you think she will stick up for a dead person?" "You are right. No one will stick up for a dead person." A voice that was colder than Dorsk's came from behind him, which made him feel a little creeped out. Yang Ming didn't spend much effort to find Dorsk. What made Yang Ming surprised was that this guy was actually preparing to flirt with a woman. And he actually knew that woman. Turned out to be the big star Shuya. Good heavens, what is this? Yang Ming didn't have much interest in the safety of the star, but this Shuya might have some secrets, so Yang Ming could save her. Now that Dorsk's exact location was found, the next thing was much easier. Yang Ming took off the waterproof suit on his body and then fixed his hair. He walked openly to Dorsk's room. There were 800 if not 1,000 passengers on this ship. It was impossible for everyone to know each other, so no one came out to question Yang Ming's identity. Moreover, Yang Ming's body had no water, but his hair was a little wet. However, it was like he had just swum or take a shower. There was nothing special about him. When he came to the door of the room where Dorsk was, Yang Ming used his special ability to check the situation inside. This was a luxury suite divided into 2 rooms inside and outside. There were only 2 people, Dorsk and Shuya, in the inner room. Dorsk had begun to take off his pants and Shuya was tied to the bed in horror. In the outer room, Yang Ming saw the Eagle Temple team leader and 2 black-shirt macho men. Obviously these 3 people were outside to keep a lookout, so they weren't good people. These 4 people in the eyes of Yang Ming were already dead people. The door of the room was easily opened with a lily key and Yang Ming walked in. Daradesica. The Eagle Temple team leader saw Yang Ming actually push the door and walked in directly. He subconsciously asked in Japanese. However, then he knew that Yang Ming might not understand, so he immediately asked in English, "Who are you?" "I'm here to take your life." As Yang Ming spoke, the Eagle Temple team leader widened his eyes and stared at Yang Ming. There was an iron nail between his eyebrows. Before the Eagle Temple team leader could speak, he fell to the ground. He didn't even know how he died. Although the 2 black-shirt macho men saw how the Eagle Temple team leader died, they didn't have a chance to say it. Because the 2 of them fell to the ground. Yang Ming wasn't willing to talk nonsense with such small fries. He held a pile of steel nails in his hand that he bought at the hardware store for 1 yuan. The highest realm of an assassin was that anything could be used as a murder weapon. Although Yang Ming hadn't reached this realm yet, he was almost there. He could easily take a person's life with just a few simple tools. The 3 watchdogs were easily disposed of. Yang Ming didn't even look at them because they were already dead. Yang Ming had this confidence. If he wanted to kill someone, it was impossible for them to survive under his hands. Yang Ming found that he had really changed a lot. He remembered that he had accidentally killed Ji Shuixing in the beginning. He actually felt uneasy for a long time because of it. But now he didn't feel any discomfort. He didn't know if he was gradually becoming cold-blooded, but Yang Ming knew that the people he killed weren't worthy of sympathy because they were all people who deserved to die. If Yang Ming really wanted to kill an innocent person, Yang Ming really couldn't do it. Perhaps Dorsk was too arrogant. He didn't even lock the door of the inner room. Yang Ming didn't even use the Yuri key and directly opened the door. However, Dorsk did think so. Because in Dorsk's view, the Eagle Temple team leader was just a dog who had a favor to ask of him, so he would do his best to be a dog. When Yang Ming opened the door, he just heard Dorsk talking nonsense. Yang Ming found it funny. He couldn't help but reply to him coldly, "You are right. No one will stick up for a dead person. Similarly, no one will stick up for you tomorrow." Dorsk spoke in English and Yang Ming answered him in English. Yang Ming was complacent about his speaking ability. It seemed that the strengthening training this time was still very effective. As an assassin, he had to learn many foreign languages. Under Fong Tian's coercion, Yang Ming had to take a lot of discs that Fong Tian gave him to recharge and learn. Now Yang Ming's English level had a small achievement. At least, daily conversations were no longer a problem. "Who are you? How did you come in?" Dorsk was shocked by Yang Ming's voice. The small bird under his body was even smaller. "You don't need to know because you must die today," Yang Ming said coldly. "Eagle Temple. Eagle Temple, you bastard, where did you go?" Dorsk roared angrily. As he roared, his hand quickly touched his clothes. Maybe he was going to take a gun. Shuya's heart was very excited at this moment. She couldn't believe her eyes. "It's him. It's really him." Although his voice had become more rough and the person had become more handsome and tall, Shuya still recognized the person in front of her at a glance. However, how is this possible? How did he suddenly appear in this place? Shuya even suspected that all of this was a dream. Such a fantastical thing could only happen in such an imaginative dream. The princess was kidnapped by the big bully, but at the critical moment the prince appeared. What she thought during the day, she dreamed at night. Therefore she had such a strange and outrageous dream. The person outside is called Eagle Temple? Yang Ming shrugged and said, "You don't have to call him that. He has already gone to the Western Heaven. If you want to find him, you can see him in the Western Heaven soon." Dorsk was horrified, but he didn't answer. The movements of his hands didn't stop for a moment, Take your time to find him. Don't worry. I will give you a chance to take out your gun. Yang Ming smiled indifferently. Dorsk's face was red and white. His purpose had been seen through by Yang Ming. Yang Ming was still so fearless. What did that mean? It meant that Yang Ming wasn't afraid of him taking out his gun. Dorsk gave up the idea of taking out his gun. Instead he turned to beg for mercy. What do you want? How much money do you want? I will give it to you. Oh. Yang Ming's heart moved. He looked at Dorsk and said faintly, give me your bank account and password. This? You want it all? Dorsk was shocked. What? You don't want to give it to me? Yang Ming snorted and tapped on Dorsk's body. Dorsk suddenly twitched and rolled on the ground. However, the sound insulation of this luxury suite wasn't just for show. Outside there was no sound at all. Even if Dorsk shouted himself hoarse, no one would hear him. An iron nail was inserted into Dorsk's forehead. After Dorsk's fat body twitched a few times, he lay straight on the ground and didn't move. Up. Shuya couldn't help but scream. Yang Ming actually killed someone. Shuya was a girl. When she saw a person die in front of her, it was inevitable for her to scream. The originally fantastical dream suddenly turned into a bloody scene. How could Shuya not be flustered? Yang Ming, is there someone around you? Fang Tian also heard Shu Ya's scream and immediately asked nervously through the wireless headset. Yes, replied Yang Ming. Kill her. Fang Tian decisively ordered. Kill her immediately. She has seen the process of you killing someone. She can't stay. The sound of the headset was very loud and the room was very quiet, so Shuya heard the words clearly. However, she was half happy and half worried. She was happy that the person in front of her was really Yang Ming. It's really him. But the worrisome thing was that Yang Ming actually wanted to kill him to silence him. Yang Ming frowned and looked at Shuya. He was hesitant in his heart. Asking him to kill Shuya, he couldn't do it. Although he had nothing to do with this big star, Yang Ming knew that she was innocent. She was just caught by Dorsk. Yang Ming, don't hesitate. Hurry up and do it. Time is running out. The ship will depart in 10 minutes. When Fang Tian saw that Yang Ming didn't move for a long time, he immediately became anxious. Yang Ming hesitated. He turned and walked toward Shuya. Don't kill me. I'm Su. Shuya just wanted to speak, but her mouth was suddenly covered by Yang Ming. Pretend to scream. Yang Ming silently mouthed 4 words. Shuya suddenly understood that Yang Ming wanted her to pretend to be killed. She nodded quickly. Yang Ming let go of Shuya's mouth and then gave her a look. Shuya immediately screamed. Yang Ming quickly covered Shuya's mouth again, and then said silently, you won't betray me, right? Shuya nodded hard. Even if Yang Ming didn't remind her, she wouldn't say it. Betray Yang Ming? How is this possible? Unless I kill her. Yang Ming released the hand on Shuya's mouth and nodded with satisfaction. He removed the rope on Shuya's body. As he was about to leave, Shuya said silently, can we meet again? Maybe. Yang Ming still had a lot of things to ask her, but this time it couldn't be done. The ship would depart in a few minutes. Yang Ming had to leave here as soon as possible. Yang Ming flashed out of the luxury suite, but Shuya screamed excitedly, so cool. At this moment Shuya's eyes were full of little stars. From the moment Dorsk was killed, she knew that this wasn't a dream because Shuya never had such a bloody dream. She bit her lip and found it painful. She immediately understood that everything in front of her was real. The person she had been waiting for had appeared. At her most critical moment he had appeared. Although Shuya couldn't believe that all of this was true, all of this really happened in front of her eyes. Although Shuya had a lot of questions in her heart she couldn't ask. She didn't know who the person on the other side of Yang Ming's earpiece was, but that person wanted Yang Ming to kill her. It was really abominable. Fortunately, Yang Ming's heart was still so kind. Although he didn't recognize her, he didn't kill her. This made Shuya very happy. At the moment when Yang Ming got rid of Dorsk, she was afraid that Yang Ming had become a murderous demon king. But now it seemed that Yang Ming wasn't like that. Yang Ming didn't think as much as Shuya. The reason why he didn't kill Shuya was that he didn't want to kill innocent people. The other reason was that he still had a lot of things to ask Shuya. He quickly slipped out of the cabin and came to the deck. Yang Ming instantly disappeared into the waves. When he went back, Yang Ming didn't need to wear a waterproof suit because it wasn't necessary. Soon he returned to his room on Henry Island. Yang Ming took off his wet clothes. He didn't obey Fong Tian's order. His heart was still a little nervous, but on the surface he pretended that nothing had happened and said, "It went smoothly. Dorsk has been killed." "Oh." Fong Tian looked straight at Yang Ming and only spat out one word. "Old man, why are you looking at me like that? It's creepy. Even if it's my first mission and it's so smooth, you don't have to look at me like that, right?" Yang Ming said uncomfortably. "Do you know that girl?" Fong Tian asked faintly. "Which one? What girl?" Yang Ming was shocked, but there was no unnatural expression on his face. "What do you think?" Fong Tian smiled faintly. "It's the girl that you let go." "Ah." Yang Ming was exposed by Fong Tian's behavior just now. He was a little embarrassed and immediately blushed. "How did you know?" "Playing tricks." Fong Tian snorted. "If you kill someone, can you let the person scream before they die?" Sweat. Yang Ming immediately understood how Fong Tian saw through him. "It's really a case of being too smart for one's own good. The scream that I let Shuya scream became a flaw instead." Fong Tian was right. "The people that I want to kill will die immediately. How can there be time to scream? The older the ginger, the spicier it is. The road is your own path. I won't say much." Fong Tian waved his hand. "If you know her, then you find a way to deal with it yourself. I understand, she won't betray me." Although Yang Ming said so, he didn't understand Xu Ye's character at all. "Well, take a bath and rest." Fong Tian said, "The current mission is over." Chapter 639. With a loud whistle, the Alice set sail. No one knew that 4 people had become corpses on this ship, except for Shuya. But Shuya was determined not to say it, because this was a little secret between her and Yang Ming. There had been no little secret between the two of them for many years. This made Shuya couldn't help but think of the past and the things that happened when they were in school. After Dorsk's death, Shuya quickly returned to her room. She wanted to sort out her thoughts. What happened today was really too exciting. It was even more cinematic than acting in a movie. The hero saves the beauty, one move to defeat the enemy. In the end, I really saw him again. This time, it also made Shuya make her final decision. She decided to take the initiative to go back to Songjiang to find him. Yes, no matter how much resistance there was, she wasn't afraid. Yang Ming took a hot shower and washed his clothes. Otherwise, they were full of sand. Even if they were dried, he couldn't wear them. After all this was done, Yang Ming prepared to rest with peace of mind. Out of the bathroom, he found that Fong Tian was lying in bed watching TV, so he said, "Old man Fong, I got an unexpected fortune. Do you want some?" "How much?" Fong Tian asked casually. "Tens of billions of euros." Yang Ming said and sighed in his heart. It was said that drug trafficking was the most profitable business in the world. It seemed that it was true. The richest people weren't the billionaires on the list of the world's richest people, but the income of those billionaires was legal. The richest people were those who were involved in illegal activities. "Oh, you keep it for yourself." Fong Tian seemed to have no interest at all and shook his head. "Are you serious, old man? You think it's too little?" Yang Ming looked at Fong Tian in amazement. "Not a lot," Fong Tian said honestly. There was only one thought in Yang Ming's mind. This old man is pretending. The next morning, Fong Tian threw a tantrum with Yang Ming in the cafeteria. He complained that he drank too much wine yesterday afternoon. He didn't even board the Alice at night. Such an opportunity to enjoy was lost in vain. The waiter looked at the father and son arguing and didn't dare to say anything. When they heard that they didn't board the Alice, they felt some sympathy. After Fong Tian and Yang Ming finished their meal, they checked out and left Henry Island. The reason was simple. The two of them had missed the boarding time of the Alice. There was no need for them to stay any longer. No one doubted this reason because this reason was too simple and clear. The two of them were oil tycoons. Of course, they were qualified to board the Alice. Moreover, many tourists here also stayed here for the sake of boarding the Alice. "Are we going back?" Sitting on the return plane provided by Hazik, Yang Ming had no scruples. "Go back to Songjiang directly?" "No, I'll bring you to a place and give you some training," Fong Tian said. "Where are we going?" Yang Ming asked curiously. Because Fong Tian didn't mention this matter beforehand. "You'll know when you get there," Fong Tian said mysteriously. Fong Tian was like this. If he wanted to say it, he would say it. If he didn't want to say it, it was useless to ask him. So Yang Ming simply stopped asking. After a few hours of flight, the plane landed at a private parking lot on the edge of an ancient castle. What is this place? Yang Ming looked at the medieval castle in front of him and asked very strangely. A friend's home. Fong Tian smiled and explained. Here, you will become the best assassin in the world. In the following days it was training day and night. Yang Ming couldn't even remember the days because the training wasn't carried out according to a fixed time every day. Instead, the training started when he woke up. Even before he woke up, Yang Ming was pulled up for training. In the beginning, Yang Ming was very skeptical about what Fong Tian said. What's so special here? Can I become the best assassin in the world? But now he understood. Fong Tian's words were not unreasonable. Here Yang Ming was familiar with the use and disassembly of various firearms. He also learned to fly a plane, sail a boat, and so on. Every day there was a lot of simulation training and even real confrontation training. Yang Ming didn't know what this place was, and he didn't know why there were so many people with extraordinary skills training with him. The only thing he knew was that his progress was lightning fast. Fong Tian left missions for Yang Ming every day. He didn't answer Yang Ming's other questions. Yang Ming was too lazy to ask again and devoted himself to the training. What surprised Yang Ming was that not only was the equipment here comprehensive, but even some of the environments were simulated very realistically. Desert, jungle, swamp, barren mountain, and so on. The simulation of survival and confrontation in various scenes made Yang Ming have a qualitative leap. Fong Tian's missions were similar to the actual assassination missions. He let Yang Ming kill the target in different scenes and environments every time. Some were in the light, some were in the dark. There were 1-on-1, 1-on-10, and even 1-on-100. However, Yang Ming finally completed Fong Tian's request. Old man Fong, your apprentice seems to have good qualifications. Outside the training ground, another old man laughed at Fong Tian. Old man Wang, I think you want to say that the son-in-law I chose for you is good, right? Fong Tian rolled his eyes at the other old man. It's the same, it's the same. Old man Wang nodded with satisfaction. It's the same. Far from it. Fong Tian glared and said, people say that a master is like a father. You are satisfied with my apprentice, but I am not satisfied with your daughter. The two old men were bickering outside the training ground, but the servants on the side didn't dare to make a sound. The family master Wang Songshan, who was usually very serious, only behaved like a child when he was with this person with the surname Fong. 10 days of training ended quickly. It was only 10 days, but Yang Ming felt unusually fulfilled. Leaving just like that, Yang Ming was a little unsatisfied. The environment here made him a little fascinated. This was indeed a good place to improve himself. Previously, Yang Ming thought that he was already very powerful. At least in the city he was invincible. However, when he came here he realized that his kung fu was far from enough. For these different environments he simply lacked practical experience. Go. You still have a chance to come here in the future. Fong Tian smiled ambiguously. Yang Ming didn't delve into Fong Tian's smile. This old man is often mysterious. Who knows what he means? Fong Tian said in his heart, kid, this is half your home in the future. You can come here whenever you want, right? Aren't you not satisfied with the marriage I arranged for you? I will arouse your desire first. Then let's see if you are still satisfied or not. Although Yang Ming was reluctant to leave, he had been out for more than 10 days. He had to go back. Otherwise his parents would definitely be anxious. When they went back they still took the plane first, then changed to a boat on the high seas and smuggled back. Yang Ming didn't need to worry about all this. Hazik had already arranged it properly. However, the returning boat was more broken than the previous one. It was a fishing boat. The entire cabin was filled with the stench of seafood. However, when Yang Ming was training he had stayed in worse environments. Now this environment was nothing to him. Although they encountered some trouble when they returned to the country and met the patrolling marine police, Yang Ming and Fong Tian were not afraid because they were legal citizens with ID cards. There was no need to be afraid. After checking everyone's formalities, the marine police left. It was a daunting experience. When Yang Ming and Fong Tian once again set foot on the land of Songjiang, it was already 15 days later. After briefly explaining a few words to Fong Tian, the two separated. Fortunately, after returning home, Yang Ming's parents didn't suspect anything. They just asked about Yang Ming's well-being. Right, Big Ming, when you were gone there was a girl named Sun Jia who called you no less than 10 times. She seems to be a friend of Yang Li. Mother Yang had seen Sun Jia at Yang Li's house, so she had a vague impression of her. Sun Jia. Why is she looking for me? Yang Ming muttered to himself and suddenly slapped his thigh. This is bad. How could he have forgotten about this? I promised Sun Jia that I would go to her house to pretend to be her boyfriend during Chinese New Year. Big Ming, what's wrong with you? Mother Yang saw Yang Ming's strange behavior and asked with some surprise. Mom, I forgot something. I will make a call first. I will talk to you and Dad about this trip later. Yang Ming finished and quickly ran back to his bedroom. Chapter 640. Qin Mengyan was a relatively impulsive person emotionally. Every time she quarreled with Yang Ming, she felt regret. This time was the same. After Qin Mengyan returned home, she thought about it and felt that she was really too much. Zhao Ying was her former teacher and she actually ridiculed her. What if she really had nothing with Yang Ming? Moreover, Qin Mengyan also felt that it seemed that there was no possibility between Yang Ming and Zhao Ying. Did she really misunderstand him? Qin Mengyan, who had calmed down, decided to give Yang Ming a chance to explain. If he called her, then she would give him a chance to explain. However, unfortunately, after waiting for a night, Yang Ming's call didn't come. Early the next morning, Qin Mengyan couldn't help but call Yang Ming's home. Qin Mengyan still couldn't put down her face to call Yang Ming. Why should I take the initiative to call you when you provoked me? But calling Yang Ming's home could be an excuse to call Yang Ming's parents to wish them a happy new year. Moreover, every time she called, Mother Yang would take the initiative to find Yang Ming to talk. Thinking of this, Qin Mengyan directly called Yang Ming's home. It was Mother Yang who answered the phone. Qin Mengyan quickly said, Auntie, I am Qin Mengyan. Oh, it's Mengyan. Mother Yang immediately said enthusiastically, What's wrong? What's the matter? Nothing. I just called to wish you and Uncle a happy new year. Qin Mengyan certainly couldn't directly say that she was looking for Yang Ming. Thank you. This child is really thoughtful. Big Ming just left and you were afraid that we would be lonely, so you called to say hello? Mother Yang smiled and said, I'm very happy. What? Yang Ming left? Where did he go? Qin Mengyan asked curiously. Didn't Big Ming go abroad to discuss business? Why, you don't know? Mother Yang was also very baffled. It was reasonable to say that if Yang Ming went out, it was impossible for Qin Mengyan not to know. Going abroad, to discuss business. Qin Mengyan's face stiffened, then she said perfunctorily, I know. I thought he didn't leave. Oh, he left last night. Mother Yang said, Mengyan, if you have nothing to do, then come over and play. Big Ming is gone, so the two of us have nothing to do. Oh. Qin Mengyan hurriedly replied and hung up the phone. Went abroad? Yang Ming actually went abroad? Qin Mengyan sat on the bed in a daze. How could this be? Yang Ming, you're really something. You didn't even tell me that you were going abroad? However, after being annoyed, Qin Mengyan suddenly became scared again. Last time it was because she misunderstood Yang Ming, which led to a quarrel between the two of them. As a result, Yang Ming brought back Lan Ling when he went out. This time it was the same. Could it be that Yang Ming brought back another one? God, what is this? How can it be so coincidental? Qin Mengyan couldn't care much anymore. She picked up the phone and called Yang Ming's cell phone. But there was a cold female voice on the other side of the phone. Sorry, the number you have dialed is turned off or not in the service area. Please try again later. Yang Ming went abroad. Naturally, he wouldn't bring his phone. The GSM network in Europe and the United States was 1900 MHz, which was different from the domestic 900-1800 MHz. Moreover, Yang Ming's SIM card didn't have a global roaming function. Besides, this time he went out to kill people. How could Yang Ming use his own SIM card? After arriving at the local area, he simply bought a temporary prepaid card and mobile phone to use. This was also the reason why Sun Jia couldn't contact Yang Ming. Unable to contact Yang Ming, Qin Mengyan was very anxious. What should I do? If Yang Ming brought back a woman this time, then I would really have the heart to die. Just as Qin Mengyan was at a loss, Zhao Ying's phone call came in. She asked Qin Mengyan to go out for tea. Qin Mengyan didn't care about being angry with Zhao Ying at the moment. It was better to have someone to discuss it with, not to mention that Zhao Ying was probably wronged by her. After Qin Mengyan said okay, she rushed to the coffee shop that Zhao Ying mentioned. This coffee shop was not far from the entertainment street of the Temple Fair. Zhao Ying had already gone to find the organizer of the rock climbing, who was the boss, this morning. She told the boss about yesterday's matter, hoping that the boss could help to clarify. The boss didn't care, and he did see Yang Ming being pulled down yesterday. It was just a lucky kiss, so he nodded and agreed. When Qin Mengyan arrived, Zhao Ying had already been waiting there. When she saw Qin Mengyan coming over, she smiled and nodded to her. She reached out and greeted, "Here, Mengyan." Seeing that Zhao Ying was as enthusiastic as usual, Qin Mengyan suddenly blushed. At this moment she had almost determined that yesterday's matter was a misunderstanding. Otherwise, how could Zhao Ying still have the nerve to ask her out? Moreover, her father had told her before that what she saw was not necessarily the truth. It was just that she was too impulsive yesterday, so she didn't think much about it. It was only after she went home and calmed down that she figured out these things. "Sister Zhao Ying, Qin Mengyan sat there hesitantly as if she was sitting on pins and needles. She didn't know what to say. "Mengyan, what's wrong with you?" Zhao Ying looked at Qin Mengyan's strange look and asked with some puzzlement. "No, yesterday actually..." Qin Mengyan was anxious to explain, but the more she wanted to say it, the more she couldn't understand. "Hey Mengyan, let me say it." Zhao Ying smiled and then said softly, "Yesterday's matter is actually like this. You know, my family is from the south. I haven't been to the temple fair in Songjiang. I came back early this year, so I went to the temple fair. I don't know anyone here. It just so happened that Yang Ming picked me up at the airport, so we went to the temple fair together. And then..." So, Zhao Ying told Qin Mengyan what happened when she was rock climbing. Turned out to be like this. Qin Mengyan listened to Zhao Ying's explanation. Although she felt it was incredible, she also understood that yesterday's matter was actually a misunderstanding. "Yeah, let's go rock climbing together in a while. You can ask the boss there. He knows the whole process," Zhao Ying said. "Then there's no need. Sister Ying, I'm sorry for yesterday." Qin Mengyan didn't need to ask the boss again. Since Zhao Ying dared to let her ask, then what she said was naturally the truth. "What are you apologizing for?" Zhao Ying touched Qin Mengyan's forehead with some affection and said, "You and Yang Ming are my students. Now you are my younger brother and sister. You two are throwing tantrums at me. How can I put it in my heart? Sister Ying, you are so good to me." Qin Mengyan also believed that yesterday's matter was a misunderstanding at the moment. She also knew the relationship between Yang Ming and Zhao Ying. Although they were teacher and student, they were more like siblings. So when Zhao Ying returned to Songjiang, it was normal for Yang Ming to pick her up and accompany her to the temple fair. It was just that she was too subjective yesterday. She thought that there was something between Zhao Ying and Yang Ming. In fact, Qin Mengyan couldn't be blamed. Before, Yang Ming pretended to be Zhao Ying's boyfriend, which made Qin Mengyan faintly uncomfortable in her heart. Although she didn't say anything, she was also afraid that Yang Ming would make it real. When she saw Yang Ming and Zhao Ying kissing, she subconsciously thought of the matter of pretending to be her boyfriend. She couldn't help but think, could this be Yang Ming deliberately pretending to be her boyfriend? In fact, there was already a tacit understanding between the two. In this way, it was difficult for Qin Mengyan not to be angry, so there was the angry scene yesterday. "Well, I will reconcile with Yang Ming in a while." Zhao Ying shook her head. "You two are really a pair of quarrelsome lovers. In a while. I'm afraid it won't work." Yang Ming went abroad. Qin Mengyan smiled bitterly and shook her head. "What? Yang Ming went abroad?" Zhao Ying widened her eyes in surprise. "What went abroad? Didn't I see him yesterday?" Looking at Zhao Ying's surprised expression, it didn't seem to be fake. Qin Mengyan finally felt relieved. It seemed that there was indeed no relationship between Yang Ming and Zhao Ying. Otherwise, if Yang Ming went abroad, it was impossible for Zhao Ying not to know. "He left last night. Didn't you know?" Qin Mengyan shook her head. "Last night? Yesterday, after you were angry with him, we separated." "I didn't know he was going abroad," Zhao Ying said in surprise. "I just found out." Qin Mengyan sighed. "I called Yang Ming's home in the morning. Auntie said that Yang Ming went abroad yesterday. This Yang Ming, why didn't he tell you that he went abroad?" Zhao Ying said with some anger. "He didn't even tell me, his sister. This kid is asking for a beating. When he comes back, I will scold him." Zhao Ying was just saying it casually. When she was in school, she couldn't win against Yang Ming once, let alone now. "I don't blame him. Who asked me to be angry with him at this time?" Qin Mengyan was also very helpless. Sing. I'm scared. What are you scared of? Zhao Ying asked, puzzled. You see, Yang Ming was angry with me last time, so he went to Yunnan. As a result, he brought back a girl named Lan Ling. Do you think he can bring back another one when he goes abroad this time? Qin Mengyan and Zhao Ying didn't have anything to hide. Previously, they talked about Lan Ling's matter to her. It can't be. Zhao Ying was dumbfounded. Yang Ming is not as bad as you said. Zhao Ying thought if Yang Ming loves every girl he sees, then the matter between me and Yang Ming can't be delayed. She also knew about Lan Ling's matter. It was just an accident. It was the type of get on the boat first, then get on the boat later type. It was purely out of helplessness. So she said, wasn't it because Zhang Bin acted on his own accord? Moreover, at that time you and Yang Ming weren't really together. Love is free. If you really want to talk about it, Lan Ling is the boss. You are the latecomer. Zhao Ying intentionally or unintentionally instilled this idea in Qin Mengyan. It was also to pave her own way in the future. That's true. Qin Mengyan was relieved. This time, if he finds another one, then I will break up with him. I'm just afraid that you can't bear to. Zhao Ying smiled and shook her head. Sister Ying, you are making fun of me too. Qin Mengyan was embarrassed. Zhao Ying said what was in her heart. Qin Mengyan was indeed reluctant, especially after the experience of Yang Ming taking her rock climbing the day before yesterday. Qin Mengyan was more and more attached to Yang Ming. However, Qin Mengyan was also a lot more relaxed at the moment. Yes, I was just angry with Yang Ming yesterday. I didn't say anything about breaking up. Those two people can only be regarded as a Cold War now. Yang Ming shouldn't have any bad thoughts, right? Besides, Yang Ming went abroad. Those foreign women looked like Caucasians. Yang Ming shouldn't like them. Qin Mengyan comforted herself. Back in the room, Yang Ming called Sun Jie with a bitter face. Yang Ming. As soon as the phone was connected, Sun Jie's angry rebuke came. You finally showed up. Sweat. What do you mean I showed up? I have always been here. Yang Ming was not a person who didn't keep his promise, but this time he really forgot. He was troubled by Qin Mengyan's matter before, and then he went directly with Fong Tian to perform the mission. He completely forgot about Sun Jie's matter. Yang Ming, where have you been for so many days? You didn't even turn on your phone. Sun Jie was obviously angry. I asked where you went, but your parents didn't tell me. Are you trying to avoid me on purpose? Yang Ming broke into a sweat. He went abroad to discuss business. Because Sun Jie and his parents were not very familiar, she might not have told him the details. But Sun Jie mistakenly thought that he was not willing to tell her and was avoiding her. He quickly explained, Sun Jie, I went out these days to discuss business. If he said that he went abroad, Sun Jie would definitely get to the bottom of it, so it was better to say that he went abroad. Then you didn't turn on your phone? Sun Jie was obviously not ready to let go of Yang Ming so easily. I didn't turn on the roaming function of my phone, so I left it at home. Yang Ming said, I'm sorry. Sun Jie, the thing you said, are you still in time? So what if I'm not in time? I have been waiting for you for the stars and the moon. Sun Jie said sarcastically, my dad already knows you. How do you expect me to find someone else to replace you at the last minute? Then I'll go tomorrow? Yang Ming said carefully. He was indeed in the wrong in this matter. He had already promised Sun Jie, but in the end, his own people disappeared and stood her up. Hurry up and come. Sun Jie said angrily, but let me tell you, my dad's impression of you is very bad. He said that you are better than him and he has to wait so long to see you. I'm sorry. Yang Ming quickly apologized. Fortunately, it's not true. It's just an act. If I were really your boyfriend, I would be done for this time. You know it too. Sun Jie said, but you can't show it. My dad's temper is very bad. If he knows that you are an imposter, you have to bear the consequences. The consequences won't be that I go in standing and come out lying down, right? Yang Ming smiled. There is this possibility. Sun Jie said, you can try. Then I won't try. I will try my best to perform well. Yang Ming took back his joking tone and said, I'll go over tomorrow? And I will drive back to pick you up tomorrow. Sun Jie said, I won't bother you. I will find a car myself. Yang Ming said, it's quite troublesome for you to come from there. That's fine. Call me when you arrive in Donghai City tomorrow and I will pick you up. Sun Jie also felt that this was better. It would take a lot of time to go to Songjiang and then return to Donghai. Besides, when her boyfriend came to visit, she had to personally go to Songjiang to pick him up. It would seem that she had no status. It wasn't very good to let her father see it. After talking to Sun Jia on the phone, Yang Ming could only smile bitterly. Other people would have a good rest and play at home during Chinese New Year, but what about me? I'm so busy every day that I can't even take a break. I just came back from training and I have to go to Donghai. Yang Ming called Ho Junhan and prepared to borrow his car. "Hello, Big Ho. I'm Yang Ming," said Yang Ming. "Brother Yang, you finally called. I have something to ask you." Ho Junhan heard Yang Ming's voice and said quickly, "Oh, I've been gone for a few days. Is there anything that you can't handle?" Yang Ming didn't take it seriously. "Brother Yang, I don't know where Guojin Biao found Master Qi's connection. Under the leadership of Master Qi, he came to negotiate with us," said Ho Junhan. "What is Master Qi?" Yang Ming had never heard of this name. Who knows what kind of person he is? Master Qi. How do I say it? It turns out that he is a gangster leader in our province. He was very famous in the 70s. He was a famous stubborn person. Later on, during the crackdown in 1983, he had washed his hands of it. However, he is still respected by many people in the underworld. He is respectfully called Master Qi. Even Sun Hongjun gives him some face. Ho Junhan explained, "Guojin Biao took advantage of the fact that we injured his son this time and found Master Qi. I don't know if Master Qi is old or he took advantage of Guojin Biao. He is obviously biased toward Guojin Biao. The conditions offered during the negotiation are very harsh. It is simply aimed at us." "This Master Qi is still very powerful now?" Yang Ming frowned. "I can't say that he is powerful. It's just that when we mingle in the underworld we pay attention to seniority. He is an old senior. Everyone gives him some face. Moreover, when there are disputes in the underworld, everyone likes to let him preside over justice. After all, he is highly respected," said Ho Junhan. "Really? What did they say?" asked Yang Ming. "We have talked about it once before, but I don't want to agree to their conditions." Ho Junhan said, "Bao Sanli also thinks that they are too much. But because of Master Qi we can't turn against them on the spot." "What are the conditions?" asked Yang Ming. "It's not clear on the phone. Master Qi and Guojin Biao will come over for the second negotiation. Brother Yang, why don't you come and take a look?" Ho Junhan also hoped to let Yang Ming make the decision. "Well, then you come and pick me up." Yang Ming thought this phone call. Isn't it looking for trouble for me? Yang Ming believed that even if he didn't appear with Ho Junhan's ability, he could eventually deal with this matter. Now, since I know there is no reason to ignore it, why are these things happening at the same time? Can't they let me rest? He put on the coat that he had just taken off and walked out of the room. "Big Ming, why are you wearing clothes again?" Yang Dehai was watching TV. When he saw Yang Ming come out, he immediately asked, baffled, "Dad, there is still something at my friend's place. I have to go there immediately." Yang Ming explained, "This child, you just came home and went out. You didn't stay for a while." Yang Dehai said helplessly, "Old Yang, now the child is busy with the company's business. It's all business. Why do you always worry about it?" Mother Yang understood Yang Ming very well. "Oh, that's true." Yang Dehai nodded and said, "Then you pay attention to your safety. Go early and come back early." "I know, Dad. Mom, I will go first." Yang Ming glanced at the mobile phone text message. Ho Junhan had already arrived downstairs at his home. Chapter 641. In the car, Ho Junhan handed a settlement letter to Yang Ming and said, "This is the settlement letter that Guojin Biao handed to us through 7th Master. The money on it has been approved by 7th Master." Yang Ming took the settlement letter from Ho Junhan's hand and read it. "Can you see it? Do you want to turn on the reading light in the car?" Ho Junhan saw that Yang Ming immediately read it, so he asked, "It's okay. I'm just looking around with the help of the moonlight." Yang Ming's ability to see in the dark naturally couldn't be shared with Ho Junhan. Compensate 10 million in medical expenses? Allow him to open a large nightclub in Songjiang? Hold a banquet to apologize? Yang Ming looked at the settlement letter and couldn't help but be amused. He really dares to think about it. Why doesn't he ask us to give up Songjiang's territory to him? He probably has this idea, but he doesn't have the guts. Ho Junhan smiled. Brother Yang, do you think it's too much? It's not too much. This Guo Jinbiao is simply a psychopath. Yang Ming opened the window, tore the settlement letter and threw it out of the window. Brother Yang, are you not going to give seventh master face? Ho Junhan saw Yang Ming's move and knew that Yang Ming had decided not to buy it. Seventh master, I haven't heard of it. Yang Ming said faintly, if he is really fair then I can respect him. After all, he is an old man. But if he is biased then I can only apologize. Although I am not good at bullying the old man, it is okay to bully him occasionally. Ha. Ho Junhan listened to Yang Ming's words and laughed. Brother Yang, what do you say next? This Guo Jinbiao makes me annoyed. He jumps around all day like a retard. What was Yang Ming's current identity? He was the king of assassins. It was an insult to be troubled by a clown. I feel annoyed just by looking at him. Brother Yang, you mean? Ho Junhan's body shook. He vaguely understood Yang Ming's idea. Does Yang Ming want to cross the line? Guo Jinbiao is coming with that seventh master tonight? Yang Ming asked. Yes, they came together last time, said Ho Junhan. That's great. Without a leader we can just destroy Guo Jinbiao's lair. As for Guo Jinbiao, he doesn't need to go back. Yang Ming smiled evilly. If that seventh master is tactful then he'll wait and see. If he's not, then there's nothing I can do. Brother Yang, do you mean that our people are going to Jiduan City now? Ho Junhan looked at Yang Ming inexplicably. Isn't this a bit too fast? We aren't prepared at all. If we go directly to Jiduan City, even if we win, it will definitely be a Pyrrhic victory. Seeing Ho Junhan's thoughts, Yang Ming smiled and waved his hand. I don't need your people. Have you forgotten that I still have a group of dark forces? Brother Yang, are you talking about Li Chong and the others? Ho Junhan's expression changed as he remembered Yang Ming's group of devils. At first, Ho Junhan didn't put them in his eyes, but with Yang Ming's intensive training, Li Chong, who was originally on par with Ho Junhan, could easily take down Ho Junhan. Ho Junhan was now developing in the direction of leadership and management. Otherwise he would have gone to train with Li Chong. After all, the strength of these people was simply terrifying and strange. However, thinking of Yang Ming's skill, Ho Junhan didn't feel strange. A great teacher produces a great disciple. Ho Junhan wasn't very clear about how high Yang Ming's kung fu was. Yes, it's them. Yang Ming nodded. It's time to release them. Since he made up his mind, Yang Ming would immediately execute it. He let Ho Junhan change the direction of the car and drive to the abandoned warehouse. Right, Big Ho, I want to use the car tomorrow. Yang Ming remembered that he still had an appointment with Sun Jie tomorrow. This person, why can't he be idle when he's badass? I'm not that badass yet and I'm already so busy. If I were to be badass in the future, wouldn't I be exhausted? Okay then, Brother Yang, you can drive the car directly tonight. Ho Junhan now had no doubt about Yang Ming's ability. In the conversation between the two people, it seemed that they didn't take Guo Jinbiao seriously at all, as if his death had become a fact. The two people had now begun to calmly talk about tomorrow's car problem. And let's do this. You buy a few more cars. Ming Yang is now very developed and one car is not enough. Yang Ming said, right, the Nightless Club is not small now. You should buy a long luxury car as a VIP car. Okay, Brother Yang, about buying a car, I don't dare to make a decision without you saying it. Ho Junhan said, just buy this BMW X5. I'm afraid that you will scold me. I'm not a miser. Yang Ming said with a smile, then I won't return this car to you first. I will drive it for a while. I'm too lazy to buy a new car. It's too troublesome to go through the formalities. Ho Junhan naturally had no objection. This car was originally Yang Ming's. It was normal for Yang Ming to drive it away. Now Yang Ming's mentality was different. Since his parents knew that he was rich and he opened a jewelry company and invested in a bus factory with great fanfare, there was no need to avoid anything. The original idea of buying a cheap car to drive first was dispelled. Yang Ming's BMW X5 felt good, and the control performance was excellent. Yang Ming drove it very smoothly, so he directly asked for it. Now Yang Ming's mentality was different. He thought that he was already very rich before, sitting on more than $300 million, but he didn't expect that when Dorsk died he actually extorted more than 30 billion and nearly 40 billion euros from him. It could be said that even if Yang Ming squandered it, the money wouldn't be spent in dozens of lifetimes. It turned out that being an assassin was so profitable. The first mission had such a large income. Moreover, there was still a diamond mine in South Africa that he had not yet received. With his special abilities, it was another large fortune. The car stopped at the door of the old warehouse and was stopped by a few people. It seemed that the vigilance of these people was still very high. Yang Ming opened the window and said to the person who stopped him, "It's me, boss." Seeing that it was Yang Ming sitting in the car, several other people quickly opened the door of the warehouse yard and let Yang Ming in. Li Chong, Lu Chao and Wang Ping apparently got the feedback from several people on duty at the door. They were already standing at the door of the warehouse to greet them. "Boss President Ho." Li Chong saw Yang Ming and Ho Jinhan get out of the car and immediately greeted them. Yang Ming nodded. He was very satisfied with the current situation. The division of labor was clear, and the strict military management had greatly improved the security and secrecy here. Although in Songjiang no one would come here to find trouble, Yang Ming also wanted to improve the overall quality of these people, so he was strict with them. Yang Ming said loudly. "Yes." Li Chong immediately trotted in front of Yang Ming, then he stood at attention and replied crisply, "What orders does the boss have?" "Before I left, have you completed the training task that I ordered?" asked Yang Ming. Reporting to the boss, Team 1 and Team 2 have successfully completed the training task. A member of Team 3 pulled a muscle during training and is resting now. Li Chong said loudly. "Is it serious?" Yang Ming asked with some concern. Li Chong didn't expect Yang Ming to be so concerned about an inconspicuous member, and he was immediately moved. Although these people had basically sold their lives to Yang Ming, they wouldn't say anything even if Yang Ming treated them like servants. But after all, people had feelings and they also wanted to be respected by others. "Thank you for your concern, boss." Wang Peng was the captain of Team 3. He quickly reported to Yang Ming. Lu Xinyang, a member of Team 3, pulled a muscle in his leg during training. He is now recuperating. He will be fully recovered in about a month. Yang Ming frowned and said, "Take me to see it." "Yes." Wang Ping said quickly. Then he led the way in front. "Boss, please." Wang Ping took Yang Ming to the dormitory of the warehouse. This was originally the staff dormitory of the warehouse. Later the warehouse was abandoned and it was left idle. After Li Chong and the others came in, the dormitory was renovated. The environment inside was not bad. When they came to a dormitory, Wang Ping pushed the door open and shouted inside, "Lu Xinyang, the boss came to see you personally." Lu Xinyang was reading Sun Tzu's The Art of War on the bed at the moment. Since the muscle on his leg was pulled, he was very anxious. Not to mention that it delayed the training, he was a person who couldn't stay idle. Think about it. How many people who practice martial arts can stay idle? When he was bored, he took a copy of Sun Tzu's The Art of War and read it. He was very interested in these things and now he could pass the time. Chapter 642. Hearing that the boss came to see him, Lu Xinyang quickly put down the book in his hand, then sat up from the bed laboriously. He quickly said, "Boss, you are here. Your leg is injured. Don't get up." Yang Ming quickly waved his hand to stop him. "How are you, boss?" Lu Xinyang said with some shame, "Thank you for your concern, boss, but this is all my fault. How can you blame yourself when you are injured? No one can guarantee that there won't be any accidents." Yang Ming shook his head and said, "Where is the injury? Let me see." "Boss. In fact, I made the decision to increase the training intensity for you so you are injured." Lu Xinyang said with embarrassment, "The injury is on my leg. You don't have to look. I haven't bathed for a few days. The smell of sweat on my body is too strong." "Oh?" Yang Ming was stunned and looked at Wang Ping with some surprise. Wang Ping also smiled bitterly. "Boss, Lu Xinyang's physical fitness is worse than others, so his acceptance during training is weaker. He increased the training intensity for himself to catch up with others." Yang Ming frowned after listening. "This is not good. Don't do this in the future. This is not the way to improve. Wang Peng and Li Chong, you two have to pay more attention in the future. If someone else does this, you must stop it. Everyone else's physical fitness is about the same." Li Chong said, "Even if it is a little bit worse, it will not have much impact. Only Lu Xinyang is a special case." "Lu Xinyang, since your physical fitness is not good, why do you still want to learn martial arts? Yang Ming also saw at this time that Lu Xinyang's qualifications were not high. It would be difficult for him to have a breakthrough. This was like the martial arts practitioners in the past. Many of the apprentices who entered the sect at the same time learned and practiced together every day. But in the end, some people became peerless masters and some people were very mediocre for life. Therefore, practicing martial arts was not something that could be improved with hard work. In many cases, the effort and return were not proportional. Take himself as an example. Even Fang Tian was surprised by his growth speed. During those 10 days of training, many of the people who were his opponents had received assassin training since they were young, but they were still not his opponent. Even if a few of them worked together, they would still not be a match for him. This was everyone's aptitude. These things could not be changed through hard work. Hearing Yang Ming's tone, Wang Peng was shocked. He thought that Yang Ming didn't like Lu Xinyang and wanted to eliminate him, so he quickly explained, "Boss, although Lu Xinyang's qualifications are not good, he is already very good now. He can't compare to us, but he is definitely better than the other people in the security company. Moreover, Lu Xinyang is very smart. Although his martial arts are ordinary, when we were in the martial arts school, we all called him Little Zhuge." These people had all graduated from the martial arts school and were as close as brothers. Naturally, they did not want any of them to be eliminated. And as the leader of Squad 3, Wang Peng would definitely speak up for Lu Xinyang. The reason why he talked about Lu Xinyang's strengths and other aspects was to let the boss know that although Lu Xinyang's martial arts were not good, he was still good in other areas and was not useless. Yang Ming looked at Lu Xinyang with some surprise. When he entered the room, Yang Ming saw the Sun Tzu's Art of War in Lu Xinyang's hand. He wondered if Lu Xinyang could understand it, but he didn't expect this guy to really have this talent. "I didn't expect that you have this expertise. Boss. I just like to think about it and come up with some ideas. Don't listen to Captain Wang Peng's words." Lu Xinyang scratched his head and said with a red face, "Well, I will first look at your wound and then we will talk about other things." Yang Ming decided to test this Lu Xinyang. What Yang Ming lacked the most now was talents, and they were intelligent talents. Now with the development of the business, Yang Ming felt a little powerless. He was so busy with just a small scale. If he expanded, wouldn't he be tired to death? How did the Emperor Guangwu of Eastern Han Lu Xiao die? Wasn't it because he had to do everything personally? Now if Yang Ming had to personally plan and follow up on everything, even if he didn't die of exhaustion, it would be suffocating. For example, people like Li Chong had the strength, but they just lacked a think tank, which was a strategist-type character. If this Lu Xinyang was really like what Wang Ping said, he was a strategist-type character, then Yang Ming really picked him up. Lu Xinyang pulled up his pants in fear. Yang Ming glanced at him, then smiled and said, "This is easy. I guarantee that you can walk in a while." After that, Yang Ming took out a bottle of medicinal wine that was prepared according to Fang Tian's secret recipe. This was a necessity. It was often used when performing tasks, so Yang Ming would carry a bottle with him every day. Just like the lily key, these things were commonly used. Yang Ming always carried them with him. Seeing that Yang Ming was going to apply medicine to himself and the bottle was very small, Lu Xinyang subconsciously thought that this medicine must be very expensive, so he quickly said, "Boss, I think it's better to forget it. I will be fine after a few days. You don't need to waste the medicine." This medicine was indeed expensive. It was simply hard to find outside, but these were prepared by Yang Ming himself. Although the cost was not low, Yang Ming was now rich. He didn't lack this at all. "Tonight there is a mission for you to do." Yang Ming waved his hand and said seriously, "This is your first mission. I don't want any of you to be absent. If you can't participate in the mission because of this small injury, I think you will regret it, right?" Yang Ming's words made the people present excited. There is a mission today. It's no wonder. These days these people were really suffocated. Every day in the old warehouse they were training non-stop. They wanted to test how much their strength had improved, but they didn't have the chance. Therefore, when they heard that Yang Ming would give them a mission today, Li Chong, Wang Ping and the others' eyes immediately lit up. As for Lu Xinyang, he was even more excited. He didn't expect that the boss would actually treat him personally because he was afraid that he would regret it. This made him very moved. If it weren't for the fact that men don't cry easily, perhaps his eyes would have been filled with tears. Resisting the urge to cry, Lu Xinyang secretly swore that he would follow the boss in the future and do his best. Yang Ming was originally proficient in the massage technique, and with the cooperation of good medicine, Lu Xinyang felt that the injury on his leg was cool, and the pain from before dissipated a lot. Okay, you just need to rest a little more. Yang Ming stood up, clapped his hands and said, "Boss." Lu Xinyang wanted to say thank you but he couldn't. In this kind of situation all the formalities were superfluous. Well, Wang Ping, since you said that Lu Xinyang is a resourceful person, then let's listen together. Yang Ming said, "In a while you will go to Jiduan City. This mission is to eliminate the underworld gang in Jiduan City, the money gang." Li Chang agreed without thinking. He was already bored enough, and when he heard that they were going to eliminate the underworld gang, he naturally agreed. Li Chang couldn't do it for them to make a move on innocent people, but when it came to the underworld gang, there was no need for any sympathy. Moreover, they had also heard of the money gang. One of the members' families was in Jiduan City. The reason why the money gang in Jiduan City was called the money gang was because Guo Jinbiao's name had the word Jin. But the most important thing was that this gang was only interested in profit. In the eyes of the money gang there was only money and there was no morality. This gang controlled almost all the industries in Jiduan City and set a corresponding standard for the collection of protection fees for each industry, from the catering industry to the bookstore and department store. The money gang was not allowed to call for protection fees on the 1st of May. Otherwise they would not be able to do business. If it was a reasonable fee, this was nothing. After all, some entertainment venues still hoped to have the gang to provide protection, but those bookstores and cultural and educational department stores did not need any protection at all. However, Guo Jinbiao was extremely greedy. The standard of fees for these industries was even higher than the formal tax of the tax bureau. As a result, some industries immediately suffered. Those hotels and entertainment industries could still bear it, but those with smaller profits such as small supermarkets, small hardware stores and so on could not bear it. Originally they had small profits but quick turnover. Naturally they were suffering because of this protection fee, but they did not dare to say anything. Well, you dare to call the police. That's fine. Anyway, the people who came to collect protection fees were all little punks. At most they would be caught and locked up for a few days, but the next day hundreds of little punks could destroy your house. Chapter 643. Although Guo Jinbiao was greedy, he couldn't be caught. His superficial identity was a well-known entrepreneur. It wasn't easy to move him. With this superficial identity, Guo Jinbiao not only cleaned up his black reputation, but he also didn't worry that someone would investigate him. In fact, although the majority of the common people hated the evil forces, very few of them dared to resist. Who didn't have a family and children? What if the other party retaliated against their own family members? In addition, over the years, they were influenced by the gangsters in Hong Kong and Taiwan movies. They thought that the underworld was very cruel and immoral, so they could only let Guo Jinbiao do what he wanted. Many people in Jiduan City didn't know who the mayor was, but it was impossible not to know who Guo Jinbiao was. Guo Jinbiao was the local tyrant of Jiduan City. When they heard that they were going to eliminate the money gang, Li Chang and the others were immediately eager to try. Although these people were now under Yang Ming's command, Yang Ming asked them to stay here and train, so they could only train honestly. However, people who practiced martial arts couldn't stay idle by nature. If there was an opportunity to go out and exercise, how could they let it go? Well, Big Ho, you tell everyone about the distribution of Guo Jinbiao's Golden Gun Gang in Jiduan City and study the action route at night. Yang Ming said to Ho Zhenhan. Okay. Ho Zhenhan said as he took out a pen and paper and began to write on it. Guo Jinbiao's money gang is headquartered in the Jinya Hotel in the western district of Jiduan City. There are about 300 permanent members. It is the main force of the money gang. In other areas, there are some industries that belong to the money gang, such as the Good Luck Bar in the eastern district, the Crazy Biao nightclub in the southern district, and so on. These are the industries of the money gang. There are dozens of money gang members guarding each house. Ho Zhenhan had been following up on Guo Jinbiao's matters these days, so he had a thorough understanding of Guo Jinbiao's background. Now that he said it, naturally it was clear and detailed. What are we waiting for? It's just 300 people. Fuck them. Li Chang pointed to the Jinya building on the map and said, let's rush directly to their headquarters and kill them all. What do you think? Yang Ming suddenly turned his head and asked Lu Xinyang. Boss, hey, what Captain Li said makes sense. Our people have been trained for so long. It's more than enough to deal with those 300 hooligans. It's just that. Lu Xinyang hesitated. Oh, but what? If you have anything to say, just say it. You don't have to care about Li Chong's face. Yang Ming waved his hand and said, that kid has a one-track mind. There's no other way other than direct PK. Heh. Li Chong also smiled embarrassedly and said, Lu Xinyang, if you have any good ideas, hurry up and say it. Why are you still keeping us in suspense in front of the boss? Boss, I think so too. Lu Xinyang said, although our people are very powerful, we have fewer people after all. We only have 39 people. It's inevitable that there will be casualties if we go head-to-head with more than 300 people. Since this is our first operation, there might be some unexpected accidents. Therefore, I suggest that we start with the properties of the surrounding money gang. What's the use of using those small pieces? Li Chong interjected puzzledly, that can't hurt the other party's vitality at all. Li Chong, don't talk. Let Lu Xinyang continue to speak. Yang Ming waved his hand to stop Li Chong. Li Chong immediately shut his mouth obediently and didn't dare to speak again. In this way, the headquarters will definitely send people to support these surrounding properties when they are in a state of emergency, but they will definitely not send all of them. Lu Xinyang said, I think that our 3 teams will start with the 3 properties of the money gang separately, and then wait for them to ask for help from the headquarters. Before their reinforcements arrive, our 3 teams will quickly evacuate, and then directly kill the money gang's headquarters. We will take this opportunity to take down the Genia building in one fell swoop. At this moment, those who went to support will definitely run back after receiving the news that the headquarters was attacked. In this way, these people will be troubled enough. Moreover, the people left in the headquarters have been eliminated by us. It will be easy to deal with the remaining people. In this way, we can minimize our casualties to a minimum. Not bad. Yang Ming's eyes immediately lit up. It seems that Lu Xinyang's plan is still good, so he said, you are so sure that these people will act according to the situation you set? If Guo Jinbiao stays in Jiduan City, there may be some variables, but now that their boss is not here, these people have no leader. They are afraid that the properties below will be destroyed and the boss will blame them when he comes back, so they will definitely send people to support. Lu Xinyang said with certainty. However, taking a step back, even if the people from the headquarters don't go to support, then we have no losses. Smashing these surrounding properties will not pose the slightest threat to our combat effectiveness. Even if they don't come back to support, we can at most go directly to their headquarters like what Captain Li Chong said. Fuck them. Yang Ming couldn't help but nod and laugh. Well said. Not bad, it makes sense. Not bad. Li Chong also nodded with appreciation after listening. Your idea is good. The money gang's people are running around in circles. When the time comes, we don't have to waste our energy to fight. Wang Ping, shouldn't you promote him to a vice captain? Yang Ming allowed each captain of the small team to choose an excellent member as the vice captain, so Li Chong had this suggestion. No need. Yang Ming said, from today onwards, Lu Xinyang, you are the military advisor of the entire team. In the future, every action will be commanded by you and Li Chong. Lu Xinyang was stunned and quickly thanked. Thank you, boss. Boss, you can rest assured that I will work hard. No way. In the blink of an eye, you and I are on the same level? Li Chong was also a little surprised, but he was happy for Lu Xinyang. After all, there was a position where he could play his strengths. It was also from this moment that a mythical team was born. From the first mission, this would be a team with 0 deaths. Under Lu Xinyang's planning, every mission was completed smoothly, which also saved a lot of trouble for Yang Ming. It could be seen that Lu Xinyang was a thoughtful and holistic person. He quickly came up with a feasible implementation plan en route with Li Chong. Yang Ming felt that there was no problem after looking at it, so he got up and left the warehouse with Ho Junhan. Yang Ming had asked Ho Junhan to buy a golden dragon bus for Li Chong and the others to use, so after Yang Ming left, Li Chong immediately gathered the people, boarded the bus, and drove to Jiduan City with murderous intent. Of course, something still had to be done. After all, 7th Master's position in the underworld was there. Yang Ming didn't want Ho Junhan and Bao Sanli to be criticized and said that they didn't know the rules. Of course, the rules were set by people. I gave you face. If you don't know how to be content, then don't blame me for being rude. Yang Ming came to the Nightless Club with such an idea at the moment. If 7th Master was smart and stayed out of it, then Yang Ming wouldn't embarrass him. But it seemed that he had to teach him a lesson. This guy was obviously jackals of the same tribe as Guijin Biao. Brother Yang, shall we go and greet them? If only Guijin Biao came alone, then Ho Junhan would definitely not bother with him. But now there was 7th Master, so he had to put on a show. Greet, why don't you greet them? Find an underling and watch at the door. When the time comes, just lead them to the conference room. Yang Ming said very casually, let's go, Big Ho. Accompany me to steam a sauna. Let Bao Sanli come over too. Ho Junhan immediately understood the meaning of Yang Ming. That was, he simply didn't put the people in his eyes. Thinking about it, Guijin Biao's nest was about to be destroyed. Why would he be afraid of him? As for that 7th Master, as long as he didn't lose the proper etiquette, it would be fine. Yang Ming had just gotten off the broken fishing boat. There was still the smell of fish and shrimp on his body. When he returned home, he didn't have time to take a shower, so he was ready to take a shower at this moment. Yang Ming had ordered, so Bao Sanli naturally didn't dare to not come. He took off his clothes with Yang Ming, put on a bathrobe and went into the sauna room. Damn. Brother Yang, your capital is quite strong. Looking at the muscles on Yang Ming's body, Bao Sanli said very enviously, how did you train? I will throw you to Li Chong. I guarantee that you will become like me in half a month. Yang Ming smiled. Then, forget it. I heard that it's not a place for people to stay. Bao Sanli smiled. During the negotiation, don't give face to Guijin Biao and 7th Master. Just say what you need to say. Yang Ming instructed. I understand. Don't worry, Brother Yang. Bao Sanli had heard from Ho Junhan that Li Chong was going to destroy Guijin Biao's nest, so he answered very quickly. Chapter 644. Guijin Biao was rich and he was a nouveau riche. Therefore he was very pretentious. This time he came with his extended Hummer. However, when he saw that it was only an underling who greeted him at the door, Guijin Biao's face immediately changed. This Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan don't take me seriously, right? So he said to Master 7 with a sullen face, Master 7, it seems that Bao Sanli doesn't put you in his eyes. He only sent such an underling? Master 7 looked at the lights outside the window and Guijin Biao's luxurious car. His throat moved, but he didn't speak in the end. When I joined the underworld, I brought a group of people with me. It was good enough that I could eat every day. How was it like now? These underworld people lived such a glamorous life. They drove luxury cars, held beautiful women, and were surrounded by a group of underlings. Although my status in the underworld was very high, Master 7 was very poor. Yes, he was really poor. He stopped in 1983. At that time he had tens of thousands of yuan in his hands. In 1983, how much was the salary of an ordinary worker at that time? The concept of 10,000 yuan household was proposed in the 1990s, so it was quite badass to have tens of thousands of yuan in savings at that time. It could be said that he was the richest. But now tens of thousands of yuan was really nothing. Yes, he couldn't even afford a corner of a house. Looking at those latecomers, even an ordinary underling had a higher income than him. Master 7 was jealous and at a loss. Although the younger generation in the underworld respected him as the 7th Master, what was the use? His life was still poor. His only pleasure was to mediate when there were underworld disputes, and then he would take some filial piety. Over time, Grandpa 7 also began to take sides. He would help whichever side gave him more money. Fortunately, there were no particularly big contradictions. Most people respected him as a senior, so they didn't bother with him. This time, Guijin Biao promised to give Master 7 500,000 yuan after the matter was done. Master 7 was immediately tempted. 500,000 yuan, tsk, these underworld people are really rich. Thinking about it, I saved a few tens of thousands of yuan, which was a lot. However, apparently, Master Qi also noticed this time that this Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan didn't fall for his trick. He might not be able to get the 500,000 yuan. But even if he couldn't get it, he had to fight for it. There was no other way. Master Qi could only follow Guijin Biao to the door of the Nightless Club for the second time. When they first came, Bao Sanli personally came out to greet them. However, after 7th Master stated Guijin Biao's conditions, Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan's faces immediately darkened. They didn't even send them off before they were kicked out. This time it seemed like it was going to be tough. Master Qi looked at Guo Jinbiao beside him and shook his head. Sigh, for the sake of 500,000, his reputation was completely ruined by this guy. Seventh master, please. The underling was instructed by Ho Junhan. He was still very respectful to Master Qi, but he wasn't so respectful to Guo Jinbiao. Boss Guo, you too. Humph. Master Qi didn't say anything, but Guo Jinbiao snorted. He raised his head and asked, "Where is Bao Sanli? Tell him to come out and get me." President Bao has a distinguished guest. He can't come. The underling replied coldly. What about Ho Junhan? Guo Jinbiao rolled his eyes. President Ho is also accompanying a distinguished guest. The underling replied indifferently. Fuck, can't you see that Master Qi is here? Guo Jinbiao was angry this time. What distinguished guest can be more distinguished than Master Qi? Motherfucker, this Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan don't give Master Qi face, right? Boss Guo, please pay attention when you speak. The underling glared at Guo Jinbiao. It's not up to you to say what President Bao and President Ho do. Fuck, look at what you can do. No matter what I say, it's not up to you to say it. Guo Jinbiao scolded, who the fuck are you? You dare to talk about me? Fuck your mother. With that, Guo Jinbiao stretched out his hand and was about to slap his little brother. However, he didn't expect that a large group of people would rush over with iron rods in their hands and stare at Guo Jinbiao like a tiger eyeing its prey. The 4 bodyguards that Guo Jinbiao brought also quickly stood in front of Guo Jinbiao to protect him. Master Qi said, "Give me face. Jinbiao, don't be impulsive in other people's territory." Okay, I will give face to Master Qi. Guo Jinbiao pretended to be magnanimous. In fact, his heart was beating like a drum. This is other people's territory. My 4 bodyguards are useless. Idiot. The underling before scolded and said to the people behind him, then give face to Master Qi. Guo Jinbiao followed Master Qi and came to the conference room upstairs. But he didn't see Ho Junhan and Bao Sanli, so he asked impatiently, we are all here. Why isn't Bao Sanli here yet? Are you fucking blind? The underling who served them tea heard it and scolded directly, didn't I just tell you? Brother Bao and Brother Ho are accompanying the distinguished guests. That Master Qi please have some tea. Okay, thank you. Master Qi was also strong on the outside but weak on the inside. He only had a reputation now. He had nothing else. So at this time, seeing that the 2 groups of negotiators didn't get along, he didn't dare to say anything. He took the teacup and kept drinking water. Yeah, I was wondering who came. Isn't this Master Qi? Welcome. At this time, Bao Sanli just walked in and saw Master Qi. He quickly said enthusiastically, but he directly ignored Guo Jinbiao on the side. Ho Junhan was by Yang Ming's side, following Bao Sanli in. Yang Ming came directly to the main seat of the conference room and sat down. However, when Yang Ming sat down, Guo Jinbiao, who was drinking tea on the sofa, immediately disagreed. He pointed to Yang Ming and said loudly, Yang Ming, what do you mean? The main seat should be made for Master Qi. Who is he? Bao Sanli ignored Guo Jinbiao but said to Master Qi, Master Qi, I think you shouldn't get involved in this matter. You're already so old. If things are too intense, your heart can't stand it. Motherfucker, Bao Sanli, you are too much. Guo Jinbiao stood up suddenly. How can you talk to Master Qi like that? What do you mean by getting involved? The 7th master has always been a respected senior for those of us who come out to mingle. If there is a conflict, we will naturally look for Master Qi to mediate. This has become the rule of the underworld. Do you mean that you want to break this rule and become enemies with all the gangs in the entire province? Guo Jinbiao's words were quite serious. It suddenly turned Bao Sanli into a person who broke the rules and made him an enemy of all the gangs in the province. Rules? Who made this rule? He made it? Yang Ming suddenly sneered. This is Songjiang, not Jiduan. Your rules don't work here. If you continue to act like a badass, do you believe that I won't let you go back to Jiduan? Io? Who the fuck are you? Guo Jinbiao said angrily after listening. This rule was set by the boss of Donghai, Brother Sun Hongjun. But, do you want to go against him? Let me tell you, you don't have to scare me. It's useless. I, Guo Jinbiao, am not scared. When I came out, you were still wearing diapers. Since I am here this time, then I am not going to go back empty-handed. You have to agree to my conditions even if you don't want to. Don't think that I am talking big. Since I dare to say this, I naturally made sufficient preparations. You want to threaten me? It's ridiculous. I have already talked to brother son of Donghai. If you don't agree, then wait for our two gangs to punish you together. In fact, Guo Jinbiao was also a little guilty, so he deliberately exaggerated the facts. From just now he felt that the atmosphere today was not right. It was not good. Not to mention the attitude of the underling before, he didn't know what the young man who came in with Bao Sanli and Ho Zhenhan was doing. Moreover, looking at their intention, they meant to keep him here. Guo Jinbiao was also a little scared. Therefore he had to use Donghai's Sun Hongjun as a shield because Sun Hongjun's power was the largest in the nearby cities. If Sun Hongjun intervened, he believed that Bao Sanli and the others wouldn't dare to do anything to him. However, these words were just his bluff. Although he had mentioned this to Sun Hongjun before, Sun Hongjun's attitude was very unclear. He didn't say that he supported his approach, but he also didn't say that he didn't support it. Guo Jinbiao also understood that Sun Hongjun wanted to sit back and watch the two sides fight. Whichever side won, then he would rope in that side. After all, Sun Hongjun didn't want to get involved in their mess. But bragging didn't need to be taxed, so Guo Jinbiao still made up a bunch of nonsense. Ha! I'm dying of laughter. Chapter 645. But he didn't expect that as soon as his voice fell, a harsh laughter came into Guo Jinbiao's ears. Guo Jinbiao looked up angrily, but he saw that the person who sneered was the young man who came in with Bao Sanli. What are you laughing at? Guo Jinbiao was ridiculed and he immediately felt a little embarrassed. He was also a boss. How could he tolerate being made fun of by a kid he had never seen before? Who are you? Master Qi is here and you are so presumptuous. Bao Sanli, what do you mean by bringing this kid here? We don't need to let the underlings participate in our discussion, right? He directly regarded Yang Ming as Bao Sanli's underling. It was no wonder. He had never seen Yang Ming and he didn't know the position of Yang Ming in Songjiang. It was normal to have such an idea. After all, Bao Sanli had sent an underling to humiliate him before. You are wrong. Yang Ming waved his hand and said faintly, Bao Sanli didn't bring me here, but I brought Bao Sanli and Ho Zhenhan to negotiate with you. You bring Bao Sanli and Ho Zhenhan? Guo Jinbiao immediately felt that his brain was a little short-circuited. What is going on? Something is wrong. What is the background of this kid? He actually brought Ho Zhenhan and Bao Sanli? Do you think that you have a lot of face? Yang Ming smiled and said with some ridicule, I can come here personally because I am giving face to Master Qi. As for you, you are not worthy of me giving you face. You. Guo Jinbiao just wanted to curse, but then he stopped. It seemed that the person in front of him wasn't an underling. Since he dared to say so and Bao Sanli and Ho Zhenhan didn't refute, what did it mean? Could it be that this guy is really a big shot? Thinking of this, Guo Jinbiao had to be cautious. After all, this was someone else's territory. It was fine to curse the other party's underlings. After all, he was also a boss. But if he pointed at the other party's boss and scolded, it was a provocation. He really couldn't go back. But seventh grandpa. Yang Ming changed the topic and looked directly at seventh grandpa. I have already given you face. I respect you as a senior, so I won't make things difficult for you. So you can leave now. The seventh master's face flushed red. Although he had not been the big brother for many years, his position in the Jianghu was still there. Everyone acted very well on the surface and was very respectful to seventh master. Now Yang Ming didn't buy his words at all. How could the seventh master not be angry? But what was the use of being angry? He also knew his own weight. These people in front of him were the underworld's rookies. The seventh master had never dealt with them before. If they didn't respect him, he could only accept it. However, since he took Guo Jinbiao's 500,000, he could only bite the bullet. This little brother, old 7, was invited to mediate the underworld dispute. Everyone respects me as a senior and respectfully calls me seventh master. So, little brother, since you also call me seventh master, then listen to my advice. Our underworld matters have always been peaceful. This time you beat Guo Jinbiao's son, Boss Guo's son. You should compensate. This is your fault. If you insist again, then there will be a river of blood. Yang Ming listened to seventh master's words and frowned. Is this old man taking advantage of his seniority? He was so indecisive when he spoke. He waved his hand impatiently and said, if this is the case, then I will call you Old Seven. Old Seven, you should go home quickly. Otherwise, the river of blood will scare you. How can you talk like this? Seventh master didn't expect Yang Ming to simply not give him face. Bao Sanli, send the guest out. Yang Ming said faintly. Yes. Bao Sanli nodded and then walked to seventh master. He said coldly, please seventh master. Our boss asked me to send you home. How can you say this? If you continue like this, you will be swallowed by other gangs sooner or later. The underworld isn't like you. You have to be moral. Seventh master still wanted to say something, but he was dragged out by Bao Sanli by his arms. Guojin Biao's face changed again and again. He didn't expect Yang Ming to be so strong that he directly dragged seventh master out. How could he know that Yang Ming was already giving face to this old guy? Otherwise, even he would be left here. Originally, Guojin Biao wanted to stop Bao Sanli from taking seventh master away, but he only had 4 underlings on his side. They were all other people's people. If there was a conflict, it would definitely be disadvantageous to his side. Guojin Biao really regretted coming to the Nightless Club. Originally, he thought that with seventh master here, Bao Sanli wouldn't violate the underworld's morality and do anything to him. However, he was wrong. He ignored the variable Yang Ming. Who exactly was this new boy? Listening to Bao Sanli just call him boss, then isn't he? Guojin Biao's scalp was numb. Can't be, right? How is this possible? Bao Sanli and Ho Junhan aren't the real boss of Songjiang, but the real behind-the-scenes boss is this boy in front of me who seems to be only in his early 20s? Moreover, it could be seen that this boy was quite strong. He didn't put me in his eyes at all. This made it difficult for Guojin Biao to guess the true identity of Yang Ming. Is he the young master of a powerful person? Therefore, Guojin Biao had to leave a way out for himself. His wishful thinking was wrong. Originally, he thought that even if Bao Sanli didn't give him face, he had to give face to seventh master and compensate for some of the medical expenses. Even if he didn't compensate, he wouldn't do anything to his people. But now it seemed that the young man in front of him drove seventh master away and left him here. What does that mean? Guojin Biao's back couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. This little brother. No matter what, seventh master is a respected figure in our underworld. Aren't you afraid of causing public anger by doing this? Guojin Biao's voice wasn't as strong as before. There was a hint of discussion. Seventh master is a person respected by Sun Hongjun. Boss Sunday, aren't you afraid of being an enemy of Boss Sun? Do you know why I laughed just now? Yang Ming looked at Guojin Biao mockingly. Although Guojin Biao didn't like to be led by the nose by others, he wanted to know why Yang Ming laughed, so he could only answer like this. You said that Sun Hongjun wants to deal with me with you? Asked Yang Ming with a strange look. Brother Sun and I are best friends. We have reached a consensus. Guojin Biao didn't know what Yang Ming meant, so he was somewhat nervous, but he still said in a threatening manner, who would mind having a bigger territory? Donghai, Jiduan and Songjiang are originally neighboring territories. You should be very clear about Brother Sun's strength. Yang Ming nodded and said, what you said later is right. I was a little puzzled before. Do you know why your son was beaten until he was disabled? Wasn't it just a sentence that offended Bao Sanli? Guojin Biao was angry when he mentioned this. You have to look at the owner before you beat the dog, let alone his own son. No. Yang Ming waved his hand and said, wrong. It's fine that he offended Bao Sanli. I beat him because he was entangled with my woman. Your woman? Guojin Biao was stunned. When did my son entangle your woman? This was the first time he heard of it. He thought that his son was beaten until he was disabled because he provoked Bao Sanli, but now it seemed that it wasn't the case. You don't even know what your son did wrong and you still want to ask me for medical expenses. It's ridiculous. Yang Ming said disdainfully, of course she is my woman. I can tell you that Sun Jie is my woman. What? Sun Jie? Guojin Biao looked at Yang Ming in a daze. What's with your expression? Do you know why I laughed just now? Yang Ming had a look of disdain on his face as if he was an idiot. Do you think my father-in-law will help you snatch my territory? Are you stupid? Guo Jinbiao was shocked at the moment. Yes, there were no other words to describe his current mood. How is this possible? The man in front of me is Sun Hongjuan's son-in-law? So whether you say that my father-in-law respects Master Qi or that I hate him, this is our family matter. It has nothing to do with you, an outsider. Yang Ming said faintly, well, I don't have time to waste with you. Tomorrow morning I have to go to Donghai to visit my father-in-law. Of course I don't mind giving him a big gift. After all, it's my first visit as a son-in-law. What do you mean? Guo Jinbiao looked at Yang Ming's evil smile and suddenly felt a little unnatural. It should be about time, right? Li Chong, this kid is really too slow. Yang Ming looked at his watch and said to himself, dang dang dang. At this time there was a knock on the door outside. Yang Ming looked up and suddenly felt happy. Just as I was talking about this kid came. Chapter 646. Come in, said Yang Ming. When the door opened, Li Chong, Lu Chao, Wang Ping and Lu Xinyang came in. In their hands they were holding 3 people who were tied up. Boss, the mission was successfully completed. The 4 places of the money gang have been cleared. The Jinya building has also been occupied by our people. There were no casualties in this operation. Li Chong said loudly. However, Guo Jinbiao's face was already ashen. If someone just stood up and said that the headquarters of the money gang was occupied, he definitely wouldn't believe it. But it was very simple. With such a large industrial base and manpower, how could Jiduan City be occupied by the money gang? So Guo Jinbiao would think that this person was bragging. But now it was different because the 3 people who were tied up were his own right-hand men and his military advisor. These 3 people could be said to be his own team. They were caught at the same time. It was self-evident what this meant. You actually dared to not talk about the morality of the underworld. Guo Jinbiao was completely scared this time. Yes, Yang Ming's posture today was definitely not going to let him go. Morality of the underworld? Yang Ming was amused after hearing it. What is morality of the underworld? You just threatened me to sweep my territory with my father-in-law. How did it become that I don't talk about morality of the underworld in a blink of an eye? Guo Jinbiao's face changed again and again. He would never have thought that there would be such a result today. Yes, Yang Ming is right. What is morality of the underworld? That is a cover-up. The truth of the underworld is that the winner is the king. Little brother. No, Boss Yang, I was wrong before. I didn't figure out the truth of the matter, so I came to ask for compensation. I apologize to you here. Guo Jinbiao begged for mercy. There was no other way. People had to lower their heads under the eaves. Guo Jinbiao, I said, are you stupid? Yang Ming said coldly, you just said that you are wrong and you are done with it? I gave you a chance before. If you didn't entangle with me, I wouldn't bother to go to Jiduan City to take care of you. But you've come to me with physical conditions again and again. My patience has reached its limit. Take him away. I don't want to see him again. Yang Ming waved his hand and said to Bao Sonli, yes, brother Yang. Bao Sonli waved his hand. A few underlings held Guo Jinbiao and pulled him outside. What are you doing? You can't do that. Let me go. Guo Jinbiao was shocked. Seeing that Yang Ming was really going to kill him, he immediately became anxious. Yang Ming was unmoved. Bao Sonli naturally wouldn't sympathize with this Guo Jinbiao. During this time, this Guo Jinbiao had been using the name of 7th Master to act pretentiously. Bao Sonli had had enough. He couldn't wait for Yang Ming's words to quickly destroy this pretentious guy who would be struck by lightning. I can give you a sum of money. Don't kill me. Guo Jinbiao was scared. Of course, he wasn't as tough as he looked on the surface. He was also afraid of death. Seeing that Yang Ming still didn't speak, Guo Jinbiao continued. I can give up my business in Jiduan City. Just let me go. I will run far away. I will never come back. I will go abroad. Oh? You still have money to go abroad? Yang Ming smacked his lips and said, wait. Guo Jinbiao thought that Yang Ming was going to let him go, and he was immediately happy. Just as he was about to speak, he heard Yang Ming continue. He seems to be very rich. Yang Ming said, find a way to get his account number and get the money out. Understood, he. Bao Sonli smiled sinisterly. Guo Jinbiao was disappointed for a while. He really couldn't escape this, so he didn't care. He cursed, fuck your mother. You will die a horrible death. Humph. Yang Ming didn't want to lower himself to his level, but when he heard this guy's filthy mouth, he was immediately annoyed. He picked up the teacup on the table and hit Guo Jinbiao's body. It hit Guo Jinbiao's acupuncture point and Guo Jinbiao suddenly lost his human form. He struggled and howled as he was dragged away by Bao Sanli. As for the 3 people who were caught, Yang Ming waved his hand and asked Ho Zhenhan to take them away. Ho Zhenhan and the others should know how to deal with them. This kind of high-level figure of the money gang couldn't be kept. After they went out, Yang Ming said to Li Chong and the others approvingly, "Not bad. You didn't let me down." "What? Boss, those people's combat power is too weak. Many of the brothers are complaining. Before they could fight, those people pretended to be dead and ran away. They are a group of motley crew. Occasionally there was resistance, but they were all soft-footed shrimps. They finished the battle with 1 punch." Li Chong smiled bitterly. "Ha." Yang Ming shook his head after listening. This could be imagined. The general gang members had the ability to scare the people. If a strong opponent appeared, they would run faster than anyone else. Well, no matter what, the mission was done well. Yang Ming said, "Each brother will be given a reward of 1,000 yuan. Li Chong, the 4 of you will each get 3,000 yuan. Go to the finance department to get it later." "Thank you, boss," Li Chong said very gratefully. They were already paid, but there was still a reward for the mission. The boss was simply too good to them. "However, the few of us will also get 1,000 yuan. It will be the same as the brothers. Do as you wish." Yang Ming didn't insist. "Do a good job. I won't treat you badly." Guo Jinbiao was a coward, a very coward. He couldn't stand it when Yang Ming poked his acupuncture point. Before he was taken a few steps away, he told his account number and password. He didn't want anything else. He just wanted to die a quick death. He really couldn't stand it anymore. As for the territory of Jiduan City, Ho Zhenhan instantly sent someone to take over. As for the issue of property rights, there was naturally a special lawyer responsible for it. By the way, the Wang's group was now under the name of Ming Yang. Those lawyers who specialized in dealing with the underworld affairs were very good at invading other people's property. Guo Jianchao was now the chairman of the Wang's group. However, the Wang's Century Xiongfeng Group had been renamed to Ming Yang Entertainment Company Limited. It specialized in the management of entertainment venues such as hotels, nightclubs and so on. Although Guo Jianchao was the chairman in name, the shares of the group were still under the name of Ho Zhenhan. However, Guo Jianchao was already very satisfied with this. At least now he was much tougher than before. With the underworld background, people in the industry respected him. However, he wasn't proud because he knew that he was just a dog of Yang Ming, so he always reminded himself to be low-key. Otherwise he might end up like Wang Shifan one day. Wiping out Jiduan City was Yang Ming's temporary idea. His original ambition wasn't to control the underworld. He just firmly grasped this unsafe factor in his hands. When he returned home, his parents hadn't fallen asleep yet. Yang Ming sighed and sat helplessly next to his parents. "I just came home and went out. His parents must have wanted to see me, so they didn't go to sleep." "Dad, Mom, you haven't slept yet?" asked Yang Ming. "I'll wait for you to come back before sleeping." Yang Dahai patted Yang Ming's shoulder. "Big Ming, how was the trip abroad? Did things go well?" "It was okay. It was basically smooth." Yang Ming said, "I found a diamond mine in South Africa and directly mined the diamonds myself." "Well, that's good." Yang Dahai nodded. "Big Ming, I heard that South Africa isn't very safe. Some countries change governments all day long. A temporary government fell and another one came up. Isn't it too dangerous for you to mine there?" Mother Yang asked with some concern, "What if the mine is taken back?" Yang Ming thought, unless the leader of the temporary government doesn't want to live anymore. How can this mine be given out? That's the reward for the assassin group. If they dare to take it back, they are simply courting death. This kind of thing wasn't a secret at all. Even if it was a new temporary government, it would be clear who could be touched and who couldn't. They wouldn't find trouble for themselves. However, Yang Ming certainly couldn't explain it like this, so he said, "This thing is a risk investment. I found a relatively stable country to open the mine. There shouldn't be a problem." "Then you be careful. If it is taken back, you can't go head-to-head with others." Mother Yang advised. "Mom, you can rest assured. I'm not a child. I have a sense of propriety, Yang Ming said helplessly. He didn't know when it started, but the content of the family chat became more formal. In Yang Dehai's view, this was the performance of a child who had grown up. They talked about the Songjiang bus factory for a while. The restructuring of the bus factory had been on the right track. The approval had been issued and the restructuring was imminent. Yang Ming completely let his father do it. He wasn't very concerned about these things. It wasn't until late at night that the family fell asleep. However, when she knew that Yang Ming was going out the next day, Mother Yang complained, saying why didn't Yang Ming say so earlier? If she knew that he was going out, she wouldn't talk to him. The next day Yang Ming got up at 6 o'clock. Yang Ming's biological clock had become a habit. Especially during this period of training, it made Yang Ming's schedule change seriously. It was enough to only sleep for 4 or 5 hours a day. Without disturbing his parents, Yang Ming went downstairs alone and drove Ho Jinhan's BMW X5 to Donghai. In any case, he had promised Sun Jia, so he must do it. Sun Hongjun got up early today. Although he was very dissatisfied with Yang Ming visiting him so late, he was still looking forward to it. His daughter was already so big, but she didn't even have a boyfriend. This had always been a big worry for Sun Hongjun. There were even comments outside that said that his daughter was a lesbian. This made Sun Hongjun very annoyed, but there was no smoke without fire. Sun Hongjun knew what his daughter was like. After investigating openly and secretly, Sun Hongjun really found some clues. Although there was no obvious proof that his daughter was a lesbian, at least he found a lot of women's XX videos on his daughter's computer. This made Sun Hongjun anxious. But he didn't dare to lay his cards on the table with his daughter. Who knew what the result would be? Sun Hongjun also knew that his daughter had a conflict with men because of the previous incident, so he could only be anxious. Now he finally heard that his daughter had a boyfriend. How could he not be anxious to meet him? No matter what, his Sun family was also a famous family. In Donghai, it could be said that he meant what he said. His daughter found a boyfriend, so he must be careful. People were always greedy. There was no end to desire. Originally, his daughter was willing to have a boyfriend, which made Sun Hongjun very happy. But in addition to being happy, he felt that he had to find someone who was worthy of his daughter. He had also seen the information of this Yang Ming. But he was too ordinary. He was just a college student. There was a big difference in age between him and his daughter. Although at that meeting Yang Ming put forward a few relatively novel ideas, Sun Hongjun didn't think that Yang Ming was very powerful. In this year there were too many people who knew how to do business. Moreover, Sun Hongjun had a thought. That was to train his son-in-law to be his successor. He also understood that Sun Jiwei, that kid, was a good-for-nothing. He couldn't be helped and he couldn't stick to the wall. Although Sun Hongjun also wanted to train him, this guy was really a good-for-nothing. Looking at his daughter, she had the ability and courage, but she was a girl. This kind of thing in the underworld wasn't done by a woman after all. Therefore, Sun Hongjun had never let his daughter get involved in the underworld. He only gave her part of the business to take care of. Therefore, Sun Hongjun also wanted to see if Yang Ming had the ability to lead the underworld. After passing the toll booth, Yang Ming called Sun Jia. Sun Jia had already prepared. After receiving Yang Ming's call, she immediately drove to pick up Yang Ming. Your car. Sun Jia looked at Yang Ming's car with some surprise. Isn't this going to your house? I have to borrow a good car to put on a facade. Yang Ming smiled. Come on. My dad has investigated your family background. Sun Jia said helplessly, but she was somewhat grateful to Yang Ming for valuing her. The two luxury cars drove to the Sun family's courtyard one after another. The Sun family was the most powerful family in Donghai. The Sun family's villa was like an independent fortress, symbolizing the status and power of the Sun family. 100 miles away from the Sun family's villa was an open space. Being able to buy such a large piece of land in the provincial capital wasn't something that could be done with money. It was said that this was not only for safety but also for peace. Otherwise, the nearby cars would be noisy. Sun Hongjun had been standing at the window on the second floor. When he saw his daughter's car coming back, followed by a BMW, he couldn't help but be stunned. When did this Yang Ming buy a car? The person who came to greet Yang Ming and Sun Jia was the Sun family's butler, Sun San. In Sun Hongjun's view, even so, he had already given Yang Ming a lot of face. Mr. Yang, Sun San said politely. Uncle San. When Yang Ming saw Sun San, he called out affectionately, "Thank you for the last time." "You're welcome, Mr. Yang," Sun San said humbly. Outside, Sun San was a strong person, but in the Sun family he was just a butler. Moreover, Yang Ming was very likely to be the future son-in-law, so Sun San naturally had to respect him. "Hey Yang Ming, are you here to see my dad or to catch up with Uncle San?" Sun Jie was anxious. Her father had already lost his temper this morning. He said that this Yang Ming was more arrogant than him. Now that she saw Yang Ming dawdling and not going into the house, she couldn't help but scold him. "Oh, then let's go." As Yang Ming said, he directly put his hand on Sun Jie's waist and walked into the house. "What are you doing?" Sun Jie was shocked and quickly whispered, "Aren't you my girlfriend? What's wrong with holding you?" Yang Ming pretended to be puzzled and asked. Sun Jie clenched her teeth and could only endure it. She said fiercely, "Well, you can do whatever you want today, but if you expose me, don't blame me for getting even with you." Don't worry. You can't expose me," Yang Ming said indifferently, "besides we have done it before. We still have this tacit understanding." Sun Jie glared at Yang Ming, but she couldn't do anything. She had to pretend that she didn't hear it. However, this Yang Ming was really hateful. His hand actually started to be dishonest and slowly moved towards Sun Jie's buttocks. "Little Jie, you're back." At this time, a woman in her 40s greeted them and said with a smile, "Is this little Jie's boyfriend?" Yang Ming didn't know the origin of this woman and he didn't dare to pretend. There were too many people in Sun Jie's house. There were butlers, servants, aunts and aunts. Who knew if Sun Hongjun had a mistress? "Mom, this is Yang Ming." Sun Jie quickly introduced. "Yang Ming, this is my mom." "Oh, hello, Mom." Yang Ming's mind was thinking about dirty things. He was trying to figure out if Sun Hongjun had 3 wives and 4 concubines. When Sun Jie suddenly talked to him, he didn't think much and directly said such a sentence. "Yang Ming." Sun Jie also saw that Yang Ming was absent-minded and pinched Yang Ming hard. However, the woman smiled from ear to ear. Good, this child, your mouth is quite sweet. The only regret in my life is that I didn't have a son. Now I have." "Ugh, auntie, hello." Yang Ming was pinched by Sun Jie and immediately woke up. He said quickly, "Little Jie, what's wrong with you?" The woman was immediately unhappy when she heard it. She glared at Sun Jie and said, "What Yang Ming calls me is our business. What does it have to do with you? Why are you interfering?" Sun Jie was really dumbfounded, but she also knew her mother's temper. When she gave birth to her, she had a difficult labor. As a result, her mother gave birth to her by cesarean section, but she couldn't give birth again. This was also a regret of her mother because her mother liked boys very much. Although her father didn't say anything, there had to be someone to inherit such a big family business. Her mother was even more guilty. So much so that when Yang Ming called out Mom, she was so happy that she was like this. "Honey, I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with little Jie." Yang Ming said, "In fact, it was like this. I came to your house for the first time. I was a little nervous, so I accidentally followed Sun Jie and called you Mom." Sun Jie snorted at Yang Ming's explanation. "Nervous? If you are nervous, can you still slip away?" He was obviously spouting nonsense. "If that's the case, then it's fine. Why don't you call me Mom in the future? It's the same anyway." "In the future, when you and little Jie get married, don't you have to call me Mom? Just treat it as calling me Mom in advance," said Sun Jie's mother. "Mom, I haven't even gotten together with him yet." "What are you talking about?" Sun Jie said. To be honest, Sun Jie really didn't consider the possibility of continuing to develop with Yang Ming. After all, the age gap between the two people was too big and Yang Ming had a girlfriend. This time she looked for Yang Ming just to appease her father. Sun Jie was a very proud woman and her vision was very high. At least the current Yang Ming was just pleasing to the eye. She didn't hate him. If he wanted her to fall in love with him, then he had to make some achievements that were worthy of her attention. "I think little Yang is very good." "I agree," Sun Jie's mother said without thinking. Cough cough. Sun Hongjun saw that he couldn't not come forward. His wife liked to be emotional. If things were settled like this, wouldn't it be a bit too hasty? "Dad." Sun Jie also saw her father who was coming down the stairs. "Uncle Sun, hello." Yang Ming looked at Sun Hongjun and greeted him with a smile. However, he was secretly looking at Sun Hongjun carefully. Chapter 647. Sun Hongjun was an inconspicuous man. He wasn't tall and his hair was somewhat balding, but he couldn't hide his fierce aura. Yes, this was the aura of a superior. Yang Ming now gradually had this kind of aura, but Yang Ming was usually very easygoing and not serious, so it was well hidden. However, Sun Hongjun didn't need to hide it. Dong Hai's Sun family was useless to hide it, so it was better to be strong. It seemed that Sun Hongjun, this inconspicuous guy, could have a beautiful daughter like Sun Jia because of Mother Sunday. Although she was over 40 years old, she was still charming. It could be seen that she must have been a beauty when she was young. However, who does Sun Jia's chest resemble? Auntie isn't as big as Sun Jia's. Could it be that Sun Jia drank too much papaya soup? Yang Ming thought evilly. While Yang Ming was looking at Sun Hongjun was also looking at Yang Ming. This young man looked very energetic, but Sun Hongjun had always sneered at men's looks. In his opinion, a capable man, no matter how ordinary he looked, would be admired by others. On the contrary, if you were not capable, no matter how handsome you were, you could only be a gigolo. Therefore, Sun Hongjun's first impression of Yang Ming was not special. A person's appearance couldn't reflect anything. He had to go through his own test to see whether Yang Ming was a qualified son-in-law candidate. However, Yang Ming's casual and cynical attitude made Sun Hongjun frown. This kind of ruffian attitude in society made Sun Hongjun feel that Yang Ming couldn't do great things. After Yang Ming greeted him, Sun Hongjun nodded silently and said, "Old San, tell the servant to pour tea." "Master, I have already called for someone." Sun San said respectfully. "Don't bother, Uncle Sunday," Yang Ming said faintly. "Uncle Sun, Auntie Sun, Happy New Year." Yang Ming didn't know the surname of Sun Jia's mother, but it was always right to call her Auntie Sunday. She was Sun Hongjun's wife, a member of the Sun family. "Happy New Year," Sun Hongjun's face suddenly became cold. "Today is the 15th. The new year has passed, right?" He. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed. Although Sun Hongjun felt that Yang Ming's performance was very easygoing and not polite, he still didn't like it. After all, he didn't have a good impression of Yang Ming. How could he visit after the 15th? Wasn't this a little too disrespectful? "You're really arrogant. You made this old man wait for so long." Sun Hongjun snorted coldly. Yang Ming also saw that Sun Hongjun was really critical of him, but he wasn't the kind of person who liked to deliberately please others. Although Sun Hongjun was a big shot, wasn't he also a big shot? So he said coldly, "Uncle Sun, although Dong Hai and Song Jiang are close, it is more than 2 hours away. The new year isn't like usual. Who doesn't have something to do?" Yang Ming's implication was that he had his own things to do during the new year. It was impossible for him to come to Dong Hai to see Sun Hongjun and leave other things behind, right? When Yang Ming's words came out, the scene suddenly became cold. Sun Hongjun was also stunned. He didn't expect Yang Ming to actually be angry. He couldn't help but be speechless. Sun Hongjun was a character who could shake the world with a stomp of his feet in Dong Hai. Usually, even the politicians had to smile when they talked to him, but he didn't expect that Yang Ming actually didn't give him face. While Sun Hongjun was surprised, he was somewhat curious. Doesn't Yang Ming know my identity? Even if he doesn't know, he should be respectful to his girlfriend's father, right? Little did he know that Yang Ming's small vent of dissatisfaction in his heart had greatly increased Sun Hongjun's good impression of him. There were too many people who usually flattered him. Sun Hongjun had been somewhat numb. Over the years, few people dared to go against his will. Even if there were, they had disappeared from the earth. Now Yang Ming's move made Sun Hongjun feel that Yang Ming was still a person with a backbone. At least, when he was with Sun Jia, he didn't covet anything and he wouldn't deliberately please Sun Hongjun. However, having a backbone was just having a backbone. This could only make Sun Hongjun have a good impression of Yang Ming, but what Sun Hongjun valued most was his personal ability. Yang Ming. Sun Jia saw that the atmosphere was cold. She looked at Yang Ming with some blame and whispered, "What are you talking about?" Apologize to Dad. Sun Jia certainly knew what kind of person her father was. At that time, the man who almost lied to her had disappeared from the face of the earth. Yang Ming was brought by her to pretend to be her boyfriend. She didn't want Yang Ming to be implicated because of her. Sun Hongjun suddenly smiled and said, Yang Ming is right. Who doesn't have anything to do? Why are you apologizing? Yang Ming was also a little nervous when he spoke. If he was impulsive, he didn't want to ruin Sun Jie's plan. Unexpectedly, Sun Hongjun actually laughed, which made Yang Ming somewhat unexpected. Uncle Sun, something did happen in my family. Otherwise I would have come over earlier. Yang Ming was a little embarrassed, so he explained, It's fine, it's fine. Sun Hongjun waved his hand and said, Sit down. Yang Ming nodded in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing and sat on the sofa in the living room. Sun Hongjun and Mother Sun sat opposite Yang Ming, and Sun Jie sat next to Yang Ming. Yang Ming. So I still call you Little Yang. You don't mind, right? Sun Hongjun took a sip of the tea that Sun San brought over and said, Of course I don't mind. Uncle Sun, you are an elder. Yang Ming smiled. You should still call me Uncle Sunday. I should be much older than your father. Little Jie is 6 years older than you, and I only had little Jie when I was 30 years old. Sun Hongjun intentionally or unintentionally hinted at the age gap between Yang Ming and Sun Jie. He wanted to see how Yang Ming thought about this issue. He is it? Yang Ming said easily, I think uncle is very young, but since you like me to call you uncle, then it's fine. This is just a title. Then Yang Ming changed the topic and pretended to be surprised. Little Jie is 6 years older than me? I thought she was younger than me. When Sun Hongjun heard Yang Ming's words, his head was full of black lines. This guy really lies without blinking. Don't you know Sun Jie's real age? However, since Yang Ming said that he didn't know, Sun Hongjun couldn't say, You are bullshitting, right? So Sun Hongjun had to say, He. You look more mature, and little Jie takes good care of herself. Oh, it turned out to be like this. Yang Ming suddenly nodded and said, A woman who is 3 years older will hold a gold brick. A woman who is 6 years older will hold a diamond? This time even the people in the room, including Sun Jie, were shocked by Yang Ming's words. Their hair was almost smoking. Seeing a room of people staring at each other, Yang Ming pretended not to know and said, You all? What's wrong? Am I wrong? That is holding 2 gold bricks. Yang Ming, can you be serious? Sun Jie kicked Yang Ming's leg with her foot and whispered to remind him. Yang Ming was actually intentional. Even if he was usually casual, he wouldn't be like this. However, he didn't like what Sun Hongjun said just now. What's wrong with a woman being older than a man? Can't it be? This made Yang Ming couldn't help but think of Shao Qing. So Yang Ming would say such a thing. A woman who is 6 years older will hold a diamond. What about a woman who is 10 years older? Will she hold a ruby or something like that? Ah, very interesting theory. Although Sun Hongjun heard Yang Ming's messy theory, he also heard that Yang Ming didn't reject the fact that a woman was older than a man from the bottom of his heart, so he was relieved. What he was most afraid of was that the age gap between the two was too big and there was no common language, but it seemed that Yang Ming didn't care about this at all. I heard that you are also a student at Songjiang Industry University? Sun Hongjun changed the topic and asked casually. Yeah, could it be that Uncle Sun is also a student? Replied Yang Ming. Cough cough. Sun Hongjun just took a sip of tea. After listening to Yang Ming's answer, he almost choked to death. He coughed for a long time and said, I am already so old. Why would I go to a university? If I want to go, I will go to a university for the elderly. I am talking about little Jie. How could Yang Ming not know that Sun Hongjun couldn't be at Songjiang Industry University? However, Yang Ming deliberately said that. Because of this short meeting, Yang Ming had basically figured out Sun Hongjun's temper. This old man was amenable to force but not persuasion. The more you were polite to him and the more you flattered him, the less he liked you. The more casual you were, the more he liked you. It had to be said that Yang Ming was quite accurate this time. Sun Hongjun's men who dared to talk to Sun Hongjun like this. Moreover, Sun Jie was a girl. She always had to behave like a lady at home. It was impossible for her to joke with him. Therefore, Sun Hongjun was very envious when he saw other people's children and grandchildren chatting and enjoying family life together. Therefore, he wanted his daughter to get married quickly and give birth to a grandson for him. Now Yang Ming was joking with him so casually. Sun Hongjun suddenly felt a lot younger and his heart was a lot more relaxed. Oh, it's little Jie. I thought we were also schoolmates, said Yang Ming. Okay, next time when you talk I can't drink water. Otherwise I will be choked to death. Sun Hongjun waved his hand. Sun Hongjun had already recognized Yang Ming's character. However, Sun Hongjun was a person who took the overall situation into consideration. He couldn't recognize Yang Ming as his son-in-law just because he had a good chat with him. After all, the Sun family's business was the highlight. Moreover, Sun Hongjun was also afraid that Yang Ming was just deceiving his daughter's feelings and wanted to get the Sun family's property. After all, the age gap between the two people was too big, so Sun Hongjun was very worried. His daughter's cheating boyfriend looked so honest. Wasn't he also after the Sun family's money? Therefore, Sun Hongjun was still very cautious about choosing a son-in-law. Little Yang, I won't hide it from you. I did a simple investigation of your family before. As far as I know, your family situation isn't very good. Your mother was laid off and your father is a worker in a machinery factory. Do you think that if little Jie is with you, won't she be wronged? What do you mean? Yang Ming also knew that Sun Hongjun would investigate him, but he didn't quite understand Sun Hongjun's meaning. My business is going to be left to my nephew Sun Jiwei. If little Jie is with you, then she is a member of your Yang family. Do you think you have the ability to make her happy? Sun Hongjun explained. Hee. Yang Ming smiled. Uncle Sun, I don't know what is happiness in your opinion? Yang Ming was also considered a smart person. How could he not know the meaning of Sun Hongjun's words? Sun Hongjun was giving him a preventive injection first, telling him that if he wanted to covet the Sun family's property, it was absolutely impossible. Moreover, not only did he not get any benefits, but he also had to support the Sun family's young lady. She was used to luxury since she was a child. Let's see what you can do. However, to be honest, Yang Ming was really not interested in Sun Hongjun's family business. Sun Hongjun's family property was not even a fraction of his own deposit in a Swiss bank. Moreover, for the underworld forces controlled by Sun Hongjun, Yang Ming was not tempted. Now his own team was enough. With Li Chong's group, it was enough to challenge any force. Do you have money? Do you have a house? Do you have a car? Yang Ming looked at Sun Hongjun with a smile and said, or two people who love each other. Sun Hongjun didn't expect Yang Ming to kick the problem back to him again. How could he know that Yang Ming was already a master of Tai Chi when he was in high school? He always returned other people's questions back to them. Of course, two people who love each other, but at the very least, there must be a material basis to guarantee it. Sun Hongjun thought about it and said, you are just a college student now. Do you think you have a material basis? What is the material basis? Money. Yang Ming said, to be honest, I don't value these. Yang Ming was right. He didn't value money very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have casually given more than 3,000 yuan to Lin Jiyun when he didn't have much money. It's not wrong to not value money, but in this world, there are some things that can't be done without money. Sun Hongjun looked at Yang Ming and said word by word. In his opinion, Yang Ming was still too idealistic. He was just a college student who had not stepped into society. He firmly believed that love was greater than everything. He had not tasted the hardships of life. I said that I don't value money, but I didn't say that I don't have the ability to make money. Yang Ming smiled and said, Uncle Sun, if you have investigated me, you should know that my current identity isn't a real estate marketing plan. It's just a temporary identity. I have a jewelry company with a friend. Although it can't be compared to Uncle Sun's family business, I still want to support little Jia. Sun Hongjun nodded. Of course, he knew the things that Yang Ming said. Although Song Jiang wasn't in Sun Hongjun's sphere of influence, Yang Ming's jewelry company had made such a big move. It hadn't opened yet, but it was already well known in the industry. How could Sun Hongjun not hear about it? Sun Hongjun stared at Yang Ming for a long time. When he saw that there was no hypocrisy in Yang Ming's eyes, Sun Hongjun was relieved. He was afraid that Yang Ming and Sun Jie had ulterior motives. As long as it wasn't, then the rest was naturally easy to talk about. Little Yang, you should also know what our Sun family does, right? Sun Hongjun was most worried about the problem of the successor. He deliberately said that he would give the business to his nephew, Sun Jiwei, just to see Yang Ming's reaction. However, when he saw that Yang Ming didn't mind, Sun Hongjun was secretly relieved, but he had some regrets. It seems that Yang Ming is a person who doesn't like disputes. Can such a person lead the underworld of Donghai? In his opinion, Yang Ming couldn't fight for it, but he couldn't not fight for it. Sun Hongjun was a bit embarrassed. But how could he know that it wasn't that Yang Ming didn't fight for it, but he didn't care about his business at all? Yang Ming's own business was big. He didn't lack these things of the Sun family. Moreover, Yang Ming's character was that if you respect me, I will return you 10 feet. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, I will kill them. When he heard Sun Hongjun ask this question, Yang Ming hesitated and didn't hide it. He said calmly, I heard that the underworld forces of Donghai are all secretly controlled by Uncle Sun, right? Yes. Sun Hongjun didn't deny it. He nodded and said, since you know, aren't you afraid? Heh. Yang Ming smiled. Why should I be afraid? Haven't you seen My Wife is a Big Boss? I suggest you watch it. That film is very funny. Sun Hongjun was speechless. Yang Ming is really not afraid. Or is he brainless? Just kidding. Yang Ming smiled and said, didn't Uncle Sun say that you want to leave these to Sun Jiwei? So what does it have to do with me? Shao Jie and I have returned to Songjiang. Naturally, we can't be connected. Sun Hongjun looked at Yang Ming and realized for a moment. Right, you and my nephew Sun Jiwei are classmates. It turns out that you know very well that I can't pass the business to that prodigal. So that's the case. Sun Hongjun misunderstood. He thought that Yang Ming's performance was just a pretense. Yang Ming was playing hard to get in order to win his favor. However, Yang Ming didn't like his, so that's the case. He was open and above board, but this old guy actually thought of him as such a wretched person. So he said calmly, Uncle Sun, to be honest, I'm not very interested in the underworld. You don't like what I said. If it is so interesting to be in the underworld, why don't you do it yourself? Instead, let the Tian family take care of the underworld? In my opinion, the underworld is just a means to an end. Can also be said to be a tool. I really don't put this kind of thing in my eyes. If I like the underworld, I can totally mingle in Songjiang. Why do I have to go through so much trouble to come to Donghai? Sun Hongjun listened to Yang Ming's words and suddenly became annoyed. Young man, your tone isn't small, right? Listening to what you said, you look down on the underworld. I didn't say that. Yang Ming shook his head. But I don't think there is anything great about the underworld. Humph. Then according to your meaning, you can mingle if you want to? That's good. Sun Hongjun was also humiliated by Yang Ming, so he said in a fit of pique, I will leave my words here today. Don't you think it is easy? Is there nothing great about it? Then you go and unify the underworld of Songjiang for me. I, Sun Hongjun, will agree to marry my daughter to you without saying anything. Otherwise, I will be the first to oppose this marriage. Mother Sun saw that her husband was angry and she was suddenly stunned. We were just talking well. Why did we quarrel? Mother Sun's impression of Yang Ming was still very good. She didn't have as many concerns as Sun Hongjun. In her opinion, as long as Yang Ming was easygoing and her daughter liked him, it was enough. So she quickly persuaded, Hongjun, aren't you making things difficult for other people's children? If I'm making things difficult? This is what he said himself. There is nothing great about it. Sun Hongjun said coldly. How much effort did you spend? How many years did you use to have the current situation in Donghai? Mother Sun complained, you asked little Yang to unify the underworld of Songjiang. Aren't you kidding? Sun Jie was also somewhat in a dilemma. Is Yang Ming really? He is still so arrogant and male chauvinistic. Can't you bear it? However, unexpectedly she heard Yang Ming say indifferently, Songjiang, what is the underworld of one city? Do you need to add another city? For example, Jiduan City? You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.